Witness the might of the Jabari. First time. Somebody. Somebody.
How you say your name, Young Mooski?
Bet you're wondering how I knew about your plans to make me blue with some other guy you knew before. Between the two of us guys, you know I love you more. It took me by surprise, I must say, when I found out yesterday. Don't you know that I heard through the grapevine? Not much longer would you be mine. Oh, I heard it through the grapevine. Oh, I'm just about to lose my mind. Honey, honey, well.
With me, in my experience, it took me to the age of almost 50 to realize what a soft life was. Because me being a dominant female, I was always put in the role to have to lead, but I was raised by a leader.
Stop blaming your role and stop blaming your environment. Masculine because you're masculine. And men don't like masculine women the same way that women don't like feminine men. And it took you almost half a hundred to realize that. Whole world.
This is what I need to know. Who taught you how to be a prostitute? Who taught you or is teaching you how to be a prostitute? Why do you think that you need to sell yourself? You need to sell your time. You need to sell your body. You need to sell your throat. You need to sell your box. You need to sell your vaginal canal. Like, who taught you how to be a prostitute? He can't talk to me unless he cash at me. Huh? He can't take me on a date unless he cash at me. Huh? Well, if I'm giving it up to him, shouldn't he be paying for something? Prostitution. Who taught you how to get the fuck out of here?
I would rather take a little less than have somebody begrudgingly give me more, and it ruins the relationship, because I've seen it happen. Men and women, we're not entering into an agreement, a contract.
Ooh.
You don't set the market on your value.
Okay.
The market sets the market. I would have sell this red Solo cup with water in it for $15. If somebody gave me $15, that's what it's worth. Something is only worth what someone is willing to pay for it. Ladies, y'all need to stop this. I know my values. Who set that value? The market? This watch, that watch ain't worth, okay, it's worth what somebody will pay for it.
Come on, man.
The difference is you wear your watch to tell time.
Hey.
I wear my watch to tell you how valuable my time is. There's a difference between the two. Stop playing with me.
Like a beast in the jungle, in the heat of the rumble, I ain't got nothing to lose. I've been fighting these hard times in the ghettos of my mind. That was victory that I choose. If my soul is blessed to be born, mama, I confess I'm a bad, bad man. Ain't no one like me. Ain't no one like me. Oh, I can't imagine. 'Cause I've been down so long that my crown is on its pretend. Ain't no one like me. Oh, I can't imagine. Like a bull in a glass house. No bull back to smash out. Ain't nothing standing in my way. I don't care what the pace is. I'm the pig as a pigment. You better hear what I say. If my soul is blessed to be born, my mind confess I'm a bad, bad man. Ain't no
Hey everybody, if y'all don't know, first of all, I hope everybody can hear me because last time you talked about couldn't hear me, so hopefully everybody can hear me. Salute to the chat for showing up. Salute to the 76 people that's in the building. The man of the hour is here. Let me tell y'all something real quick before we even get going. If y'all actually understood, so y'all understand, boy, putting together a very good live stream, especially when you got a very, very special guest, the amount of work, to be honest with you, I could use a whole nother week to get ready for this brother. I mean, the amount of research that has gone into putting this together, I still do not feel like I've done enough. I went out, got the brother's book. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Let me tell y'all something. I hope this is a treat for y'all. I hope Obsidian enjoys the conversation today. I got some stuff planned for y'all. When I was sitting up last night worrying about man, I hope I'm planning this right, and I was writing out all my questions. Let me tell y'all what I did. I deleted all my questions. I know they were like, y'all were like, I know y'all were like, what? You deleted all your questions? Yeah. Because it took me a minute to realize that all I got to do with this brother, some people you got to actually lead them and walk them through the conversation. It finally dawned on me that I don't need to lead or walk Osidian down a conversation that he's had 1,001 times. So I am going to enjoy the fact that this brother I'm going to ride his coattail all through this process that we call the relentless story. One of the things that I told you guys that I was going to be doing on the rebranding of the Real Bravado Network now through the Fryer is the fact that I actually, and we talked about this last week, the fact that Black people are addicted to and obsessed with the struggle. While the struggle is okay, we as Black people, we are obsessed with it. We are addicted to it, and then we also can't function outside of the struggle story. And one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to talk to brothers who said basically, fuck the struggle. I am not the struggle isn't me. I am the person who conquers. So when we talk about relentless, the series, the interviews, the relentless interviews, we're going to be talking to men and women who are just simply fucking relentless. No matter what the obstacle, no matter what the setback, no matter what's in front of them, that they will not be deterred from their objectives, no matter what evil may come their way. Now, I'm not the most overly religious man in the world, but we do understand that the Lord said that he will not give you no more than you can bear. And then also he reigns on the just as well as the unjust. So that means we all can get that work. And so who you are depends on what you do when that work is in front of you, when it's your turn to actually get that work from the Lord. Okay. All right, y'all. So I'm just sitting here kind of trying to calm my nerves a little bit. I know a lot of people be like, why are you getting all excited? He's just a man. Yes, he's just a man. But also he's a man who, when you come into a space, or a sector or a field, there's always people who've done it before you, who did it better, who paved the way, who built the foundation, who built the archetype. And sometimes it's cool to talk to them. It's just cool to talk to them and be excited that you're talking to somebody along that path. So I want to thank the chat, Messy Michon. First of all, Messy Michon, thank you for being here. El Jerome, thank you for being here. Almanize, thank you for being here. Growth Talk, a lot of the fellas are in the building. Thank you for being here. We are going to get this started, and I'm not leaving. I know I'm leaving out a whole lot of people and stuff like that. But, I just see somebody mention the super chat, and I'll slow down in a minute. Tony, the super chat, believe it or not, they took my monetization because some bitch decided to report my channel about the fact that I was a misogynist and all this other stuff, and they fucking took my monetization away until July 8th is when I can reapply for monetization. But if you want to support this, you're supporting me by being here. today by showing up and showing out for Obsidian. But if you want to support, I am going to encourage you guys to go ahead and send the Cash App over to Obsidian. This brother did not have to come over here and do what he did for me today and what he's doing for me today. So I encourage you guys, you know, whatever support that you wanted to give to me today, because they demonetized my channel for another month, go ahead and just send that love over to Obsidian. His Cash App is on the screen, okay? All right. Whew. Let me take a couple beats. You know, when I was thinking about, let me tell you one of the things about me personally is the fact that I really don't know a lot of the people in the space. I'm finding people along the journey. So I don't know a lot of people's backstory. And also more importantly, and this is me and Obsidian probably talk about this because we kind of talked about it before we went live here, is I don't know who gets along with who, nor do I care. And I know that that might shock some people, that I just don't care who get along with who, but I'm also learning that if you fuck with this dude, or if you chop it up with this dude gonna have a problem with it. Or even more insidious, if you invite this dude and because you didn't invite me first, I'm not gonna deal with you because you invited him first and not me, and I should have been your first. So I've experienced a lot of this over the last 2 weeks that I've been trying to put this together with Obsidian. And all I got to say is thank Obsidian for being here, and everybody else who got this weird territorial ego shit, go fuck yourself. That's kind of where I am with it, all right? Now, the other day I was sitting around thinking about the name Obsidian. I'm like, where in the hell have I heard the term Obsidian before? And it took me a while, and you guys can go look it up on your own. But the term Obsidian, or the name Obsidian, is the name of a mineral or a rock. It's from cooling lava, if I'm not mistaken. So and I got to thinking a little bit about it. I said, you know, why would somebody name their name Obsidian? So I actually started looking up what is Obsidian. And so this is kind of what I kind of came up with about why somebody might, you know, put the name Obsidian and attach it to themselves. And one of the things that I've learned is that Obsidian, Obsidian is actually a symbol of strength and protection. Obsidian is actually really known for its durability, and it's also known for, or also used for making sharp blades and making tools. And obsidians are absolutely, they symbolize power and resilience. Also, because they're able to make sharp blades and tools, historically obsidians are could be used for protection. So someone naming themselves Obsidian can signify a desire to embody the qualities of a protector. So that kind of makes sense when I started looking at and started understanding how Obsidian, who's here tonight with us, carries himself. You can also look at it as something that is that talks about transformation and clarity. So like the rock Obsidian forms, the way it forms, it forms from like rapid cooling of lava, kind of like when a volcano erupts and it makes its way to the ocean, and when it hits that cold ocean, it cools down rapidly, and it symbolizes like transformation and the ability to adapt to change. Also, Obsidian can be believed to reveal like hidden truths and make clarity, and help with mental blockage. That's a lot of people say from what I read, what Obsidian can actually does. Okay, and also we're not going to talk about the fact of the color Obsidian. You know, it's dark, it's glossy in appearance, and it's often associated with something with mystery and the unknown. And the name can evoke a sense of intrigue and depth. You know, so the term Obsidian, I think it's kind of cool that he chose this name. We're not even going to talk about the fact that there's a cultural significance to the term Obsidian, especially those from the Aztecs and the Mayans. Obsidian was a highly valued and useful mineral used in rituals and tool making. And so naming oneself obsidian after this stone can be a nod to those ancient civilizations who valued, their rituals and their tools for protection. And so one of the things that we lack in Black culture now is a lot of rituals and lineage, to be honest, to be perfectly honest. But throughout history, obsidian has been used throughout history for its sharpness and its effectiveness, and it symbolizes a connection to history and heritage. Okay, so the name can resonate with a person's personal experience, their personal traits, or their personal aspirations. So I'm going to play you guys a little bit just to get you a little refresher for those who don't know, for those of you who haven't seen Obsidian, those of you who are just knowing of him from just word of mouth. We're going to play a little bit of Obsidian, then we're just going to bring him on, okay? Because we're going to get going. Because like y'all know, I don't want to be here all night. So we're going to get going. Here we go.
Yeah, this is what I'm made of.
We are so jacked up in Black America around the sexuality piece and understanding all of these things that we don't have the, and especially men, we don't have the language to distinguish and make the distinction between a man who's gay and a man who's feminine. Feminine, beautiful, and inspirational. Beautiful women inspire men all the time, all down through history. Beautiful women inspire men all the time. All the time. That's common. And see, we back to encouraging men again.
I just saw a really interesting video from my brother O'Shea Duke Jackson, where he's, in my opinion, it looks like he is crowning this white woman as the new woman king of the Manosphere.
I guess I could start. I did meet Kevin Samuels twice. I called into his show, and then I met him, and then I met with him again a little bit, a couple months before he died. I was a fan of Kevin Samuels. Like he definitely influenced my work, but he didn't. There's no one that like crowned me. What did they say?
Oh, the woman king. You have familiar with
yeah.
that?
There's nothing like that. I was a fan of Kevin Samuels, so he did influence my work, but I feel like I've been really open about that.
Yeah, that's the argument. The argument is that the black manosphere kind of, crowns you and all the rest of it. And I don't think that's the case at all.
That is some highly concentrated fuckery over there. Just stuff that just you be like, I can't believe she said that. And they mean it. They're really serious. My man Carl the Fourth in the building with the $5 super chat. He writes, them same women date broke street bums. Now, see, that's, of course, the trick. We know that the lovely ladies are engaging in price discrimination. We know that. They let some guys hit it for little or nothing, and then they want the other guy to, hold on to the possibility of some busted can biscuit set for Roof Chris prices, for Del Frisco prices, for Mastro's prices, when he let the other guy hit it for Chinese takeout price. Of course, they don't want to talk about that. Now, see, what they do is they figure, well, I got to put up with your non-select ass, so you got to pay extra. What they're not considering is that you're getting something that's used. They don't want to deal with that part. Woke Quill in the building with the $5 super chat, right? Ask on Clubhouse, what do you offer your ideal man that he can't get abroad for a fraction of the price? I can answer the question for you right now. You get the struggle. That's what they was talking about before I came on the air today. You get the struggle. Oh, you mean the same struggle that y'all don't want to be part of? The same struggle y'all tell the brothers, I don't want struggle love? You mean that struggle? See, they understand what you're going through as a black man.
It's my personal opinion now. See, women that don't encourage men, women that don't verbally encourage men, right? That does something to a man's psyche. Women that don't verbally praise men, right? That does something to it. It really bangs up their ego. It really bangs up their self-esteem. We don't really talk about self-esteem with regard to men. In this case, black men.
What's going on, Obsidian? What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, TJ? How you feeling, man?
Good. Thank you,
Glad
brother.
to be here.
Thank you again for coming up. I appreciate it. Do you like that intro? Never scared? Do you think that?
I love it. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I talked to you a little bit before about a preamble. So you mind we talk about a couple things before we get down into
Go right ahead. Go right ahead. Here to chop it up, brother. Go right ahead.
Okay. So I emailed you about your book.
Yeah.
I emailed you about your book, and I said, I told myself, I said, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. You know what? I need to break down and go ahead and buy Obsidian's book. I need to get to reading on it. And this is what I'm thinking before I got the book. You know what I mean? No big deal. I can plow through probably half the book, not realizing the extent of your book. So I get the book, and then I get it, and I started kind of thumbing through it. I said, oh shit, this is gonna be some work.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
it's funny. I tell you, the reason why the book was so big, because Kevin called it War and Peace.
Yeah.
The reason why is because, well, several reasons, but one of the reasons why, because I was afraid, the whole, I wrote it right before COVID happened. So I wrote it in the summer of 2019. And then COVID hit, and I had to sit on the whole thing for like a year. I was supposed to release it in 2020. Had a whole plan for a book tour, and was going to do the whole Megillah. And then I had to put the whole thing on ice because of the COVID. So that hit, and they kind of just like put the kibosh on everything. So what I decided to do is when it finally hit in 2021, it gave me time to go back and revise things and stuff like that. And I said, I don't know if I'm going to get another chance to do this. So I packed as much as I could into that one book. And so, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so far when I started reading and I asked you, I said, I'm sitting here because I want to try to get some of it in. I was like, what chapters can I use? Because I started kind of looking at how the book was laid out and what subjects you were covering. And I was like, and you were like, brother, pick. Just go through the glossary and pick, because it's kind of one of those kind of books. But one of the things that I found very impressive about the book was how much research and how much you cited in the book, that you just wasn't talking off the top of your head or off the top of your dome, but everything that you talked about was backed up by research, data, statistics, that were proven by reputable sources. And that was what blew me away the most. And so I said, you know what, this is going to be like a college course. So unfortunately, I couldn't get through a lot of it, but I'm going to, because the amount of information that's in there, there's a reason why Kevin Samuels on a regular basis consistently referenced your book over over most content creators, Black Men in the Spaces, over the time that he was with us. At least once a month, he would reference your book on his podcast.
I was sick as a dog in the summer of, I call it the summer of hell, 2021. And a lot of people thought that I had coronavirus. That wasn't it. It was something else. And I was really feeling bad. So June of 2021, Kevin was right on the cusp of breaking 1 million subscribers on YouTube. And there was a lot of anticipation about that, a lot of excitement. And one night he goes on and he hyped my book. And my buddy Zam called me and he's like, yo man, Kevin is talking about your book right now. I said, what? I'm in bed, sick as a dog. So I, crawled out of bed and, checked in my computer, and there he is. I was like, oh snap. So I had no idea he was going to do that. I didn't ask him to do that. He didn't tell me he was going to do that. It was completely spontaneous. But the book became a #1 bestseller right then and there. So
yeah, that's phenomenal. And that's just a testament to, when you put the work in and you take the time to try to back up what you're saying by legitimate sourcing, then it legitimizes the work. And that's something that my grandma used to say to me, whatever like when she was talking about education, go get your education, because that's something they can't take from you. Yeah. So like when you put a piece of work out there like that, and then you use legitimate sourcing to back up what you're talking about, that's something no one can take from you. It don't matter what they think about you personally. They can't take away from, they can try, but then they're just being disingenuous.
Yeah, I agree. And so it was really it was a heck of a ride. I tell you how the book came about. It was so I went to, people have been telling me that I needed to write a book for years, and I was the one that was like, come on, man. What am I going to write a book for? I don't have anything to say or add that's that important. But a lot of people were saying, you're really good at writing. You really should write a book. So they've been saying that to me for years. To years. But then I went to an event. This is now, it will be 5 years ago. I went to an event. I can't believe that it happened that quickly. 5 years ago. My, how time flies. So in May of 2019, I think it was May 4th, I believe. There was a tour stop, and it was Derek Jackson, Ace Metaphor, and Stefan Labossiere. And they was like three the hard way in the black love business, right? And so they made a stop here in my hometown of Philly. They was doing a tour across the country. I Love Me tour. Number of black women, screaming and hollering, about these guys. So I said, I wanted to go and see what all the hubbub was all about. So I went and checked it out. And while I was there, I'm looking, they were selling their merchandise, and Derek Jackson selling his medium T-shirts, and in his book, he had his book. I want to say at the time, Don't Forget Your Crown was out at the time. I want to say that, but in any event, he was selling this stuff. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is insane. If these guys can do it, I know I can do it. And I wasn't trying to write a book for women. I was writing a book for men. Mm-hmm. And that's what kind of inspired me to do it. So it's all Derek Jackson's fault. So that's how it all really got started.
Look, let me tell you something. Before I even, I'll tell you how in a little bit how I actually got into the YouTube space or whatever, or how I found some of the people. But before I was even thought YouTube was a thing that you can consume, because I never really cared much about YouTube, because when YouTube first came out, it was kind of like, how to bake a cake stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How to paint a fence properly. I didn't know that was whole thing. But so before all of that, I actually knew who Derek Jackson was, because I was on Facebook. I was getting, a lot of women were sharing his stuff on Facebook. And so I started looking at this guy, and I'm like, the hell is he talking? The moment I started hearing him talk, I said, this man is a clown. I mean, the moment, and this is even before I started really understanding, like, the way I thought about how we should be behaving in relationships with each other. Black folk. I really don't know nothing about nobody else, but black folk.
Yeah.
Before I understood that the way I was thinking was correct, because when you raised by women in a family with nothing but women, and you sitting there thinking like, this is out of order, and you're talking against it. I'm 25 years old, when I was in my 20s, saying, why in the hell would anybody want to go out and hitch themselves to a baby mama? Of course, I'm getting shouted out of every room. But when I heard a Derek Jackson talking like this, I was like, this nigga crazy. And then I said, oh, okay. I said, the fix is in. This dude is out here trying to get a lick. A muscle-bound dude in a car, talking about he married, talking about, how to keep a wife and how to keep a woman. But it was all about how horrible brothers were.
Yeah.
The dusties they were. And I was like, I can't get with this. But I found YouTube, believe it or not, in the middle of COVID. I was at work, because by trade, I'm a critical care respiratory therapist. So I'm sitting on a closed unit, and I'm looking for something just to, pass by some time. And then I just searched, I don't know. I think it was like, I was trying to figure out, how to get healthy and stuff like that. Yeah. And I put in men's health or men's awareness. And believe it or not, the first person that came up was Donovan Sharp.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. So I started watching at work Donovan, and he started talking about a lot of the stuff, kind of more, I wouldn't call it extreme, but kind of in a more bold way than I was thinking. And then that actually led me to Coach Greg Adams. And when I saw Coach Greg Adams, I was like, oh shit, you find your spirit animal.
Coach is great, man. Coach Greg Adams.
I was like, oh my, I could not believe that there were brothers out here talking about this. And I didn't hear your name actually for a while, because I didn't hear your name until Kevin Samuels. And I was going back and forth between Donovan and Coach. And then Donovan was more so talking about Kevin Samuels. So I looked up Kevin Samuels, and I'm ashamed to say this. As soon as I saw him, I clicked off. I was like, who's this? I asked my initial impression. Eventually, I was like, who's this cornball? It didn't. And so I just didn't even pay it no mind. But he started coming up in my feed, but I wouldn't watch him. And then I heard Coach Adams talk about him, and I said, and I wish I remember what it was that Coach Greg Adams said. But then I went back and looked at I went and watched a live stream, and I was like, oh, you know what I mean? When you saw that brother's presentation, you were like, oh, this shit, ooh, you know what I mean? You knew something was there. You know what I mean? You knew that that there was going to be trouble in the market with Kevin. I knew from the first live stream that brother was going to be a disruptor. And I started I started watching Kevin, and through Kevin, I started hearing your name. And so I didn't really start looking at you. You by that time you were actually off for a while. That was during the time you were probably sick. While. I didn't come back around to you. There was some, if I'm not mistaken, what drove me even closer to starting to watch your content a little bit was Donovan Sharp, because for some reason he started warring with you, and I didn't understand that, didn't care to understand it. but he started.
Yeah, Donovan kind of wars with everybody. So I don't think
kind of
in that regard.
Yeah, I was like, why in the hell is this going? And it just kind of confused me a little bit. But then I started checking you out. But I got more into you around the Pearly thing. But we'll get into that later on.
Yeah.
The Pearly thing. But I wanted to also get your take on the WNBA.
Well, I mean, it's interesting you mentioned Pearl, and now we're talking about Caitlin Clark. So that's really what I'm talking about.
Yes. You like how I did that?
So, I mean, look, the WNBA has, from its inception, right? So you look the late 1990s, it's never been profitable. And the goal of professional sports is it's a business, is to make money. That's the goal. The goal is to have, a good product, exciting games, compelling players, popular players. You want people that's going to buy tickets, people that are going to buy merchandise. That's what you need. And that's not just true for the WNBA. That's true for any professional sport. It's a business. So the WNBA has a problem. And that problem is a very similar problem that the NBA had about 20-some years ago, around the time of the circa 2000. So now you're looking at the period of Allen Iverson.
Right.
And he kind of represented, he wasn't the only one, but he was kind of like representative of the thug image. So you have, the straight back cornrows, and you got all these tats and the kind of hip hop aesthetic with the baggy clothes and all the rest of it. And that created a problem for the NBA in the early 2000s to such an extent. I don't know if people remember this. They reinstituted a dress code.
Yes.
For male ballers at the time, because it was starting to hurt their bottom line. People go to the games. Many of them bring their children to the games. And lots of people buy the skybox seats and the on the floor, seats, the Jack Nicholson, Spike Lee type seats right on the floor. I mean, that's a lot of money. And then there's the merchandise involved, the sneakers and the jerseys and so on and whatnot. It was starting to hurt the business. And so the NBA commissioner's like, look, man, y'all guys got to stop with all these tats and all that. It's hurting the business. You got to wear a suit. You got to go back to the days of Michael Jordan and the heydays of the 90s and start suiting up. And that caused a big, stir. Of course, Allen Iverson and whatnot, they didn't want to do that. But it was understandable because it was hurting the business. The WNBA is in a similar situation right now. And what I'm about to say, I heard you earlier said that you got some demonetization problems. So maybe you could just edit this out and do it on a replay. But the truth just has to be told. Look,
yes.
The reason why the WNBA is not profitable is because, and I'm just going to go ahead and say this, people don't want to pay to watch essentially Allen Iverson knockoffs. They don't want to pay to watch that. You got a lot of these ladies. I'm trying to be diplomatic about this. You got a lot of these ladies in the NBA that look thuggish and act thuggish, and then on top of that, they're not playing the kind of game that you would expect in the NBA for good reason, because they can't. I mean, they're women, so there's really no draw, and so they're not making money. As a matter of fact, I was watching Jason Whitlock. And he made a point that the WNBA is on pace to lose $50 million this year.
$50 million.
$50 million. That's how much they're going to lose, is $50 million. With what I think is 10, 12 teams. I mean, they don't have a really big league. And they're losing money. And people don't want to watch that. They don't want to watch. They don't want to watch the Britney Griner. I hate to say that, but it's just the truth. They don't want to watch that. Now here's the deal with Caitlin. Caitlin Clark, hugely popular. I believe Iowa. She played for Iowa. Put them really on the map in terms of women's basketball. She's from the Midwest. She's from flyover country. She's basically the Iowa version of a Hoosier. You know, she's from All Shucks, you know, Clark Kent, Smallville, Americana, and she's white and she's wholesome. And look, man, the reality is, and I know a lot of black people may not want to hear this, but the reality is a lot of white people can relate to that. And a lot of white people like that. And they want to see their daughter be, even if they don't have basketball gifts, but kind of carry themselves in that way. So in a very real sense, she's kind of something of a role model, very popular. She's actually generated interest in the game, in the women's basketball, professional basketball game. She's good for business. The idea of sitting her down and not bringing her on the Olympic team was boneheaded. The dream team was all A-listers. These guys weren't just good basketball players. They were like, you know, cultural icons, and that's why they were called the dream team. It's business suicide to sit her down in an Olympic game, because the Olympics is about business too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you know, it would have been good business to bring her on the squad, get her in the starting lineup, let her play for a few minutes, sit her down, and then bring everybody else in. Boom, problem solved. But to sit her down, and then the way that she's being treated now by the WNBA it's business suicide.
I'm not trying to be an asshole, Obsidian, but maybe I am. They are representing why we say that women shouldn't run anything, because they're cutting off their nose despite their face. I call it the left eye Lisa Lopez syndrome. They rather watch the motherfucker burn than to concede anything.
Yeah.
And I can't understand. Well, yes, I can. The mitigated gall of most of these ladies in the WNBA to come out there and bitch about the fact that men are not supporting their brand, when the fact of the matter is men are supporting their brand.
Well, men are paying for the league.
They're paying. There you go. So I don't understand how in the world they can sit up there and talk about men don't support their brand when men are actually fronting the little paychecks that they're getting. They're pissed off. And here's the thing. Every time somebody try to come in and give them advice on how to make their league better, make it more watchable, they just scoffed at it. Yeah. How dare you? How dare you?
And Caitlyn is a good player too. On top of that, I mean, it's not just a popularity factor. Yeah. I've heard her referred to as kind of like a female, the closest thing a woman can get to Steph Curry. That's, you know, that sort of thing. She has like a Steph Curry style of play. You know, which is well suited for a female, because you don't have to rely on trying to jam and all the rest of it, which the vast majority of women can't do no way. So I mean, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats, and you know, she's good for the league, she's good for business, and you know, it's the same thing that I would say to the Black Manosphere's rejects, as I like to call them, this disgruntled, angry, bitter contingent of brothers that's kind of like sitting on the periphery of the Black Manosphere, and they spend all their time talking about it, and we're not a part of it, but every time they fire up a live stream, they're talking about it. They didn't like the idea of black women coming into the space. So, you know, I know you want to talk about Pearl. So here's the thing. Before Pearl came along, there was a number of black women in and around the space, and I was their biggest cheerleader. Because my thing was, fellas, they're good for the space. Here's how. One, they're proof that the Black Manosphere ain't broke dusties. Because these women are making good money. That would be one of the big gripes that a lot of these haters, the Black Manosphere's rejects would have. You know, these women getting all the money and we're not. And they basically what they're saying is, I'm not making money because these women are here. No, you're not making money because you're not good. That's the reason why you're not making money. You're not making money because it's not because women are somehow taking the money away from you. No, you're not making money because you're not good, and you're not willing to do what it takes to get good. It's one thing to not be good, and that's one thing, but to not want to do what it takes to get good is something else. So that's what these guys will kind of scapegoat these ladies. And I'm like, no. These ladies are not just a pretty face and just get up there. No, they're putting in work too. Now, do they have an advantage
because many of them are attractive? Yes. An attractive woman always has an advantage. But, that didn't stop Kevin Samuels. That didn't stop mediocre tutorials and reviews. That didn't stop the lead attorney. That didn't stop, Dennis Sperling Esquire. That didn't stop the Angry Man. That didn't stop O'Shea Duke Jackson. So these guys are all proof that you can still be very successful, be a guy, and in some cases, not even a particularly good-looking guy, and still do well. So I think that a lot of those Black Manosphere reject types were kind of just hating on the sisters because they're willing to do what these guys weren't willing to do. So I would say to people, they're good for the space because, one, you can't hang the dusty thing on us. These women are making money from Black men. So, and women like guys with money. And women like guys with money that are generous. So that's going to attract the women. So that's number one. Number two, you can't say that the Black Manosphere hates Black women when there are Black women not only in the space as commenters and consumers of Black Manosphere content and product, but you actually have Black women setting up shop in the Black Manosphere and making good money at it. It just doesn't work to say, well, we hate these Black men. Those are misogyny. Believe me, those ladies that are doing well, the Nika Maries, the Six, the Goddesses, the Crimson Cures, trust me, that's misogyny that they like a lot. Okay, if that's going to be the argument.
And if the Black Manosphere hated Black women, then why does the Manosphere tell men to get better so they can get a higher quality Black woman?
Yeah.
I mean, if we hate women, then I guess we wouldn't be telling men to do all they can do so they can actually gain a respectable woman, have a family with, and go on about and get on out of this dumpster fire of a rat race called the dating pool. But we hate them.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, that's what the Black Manosphere Conclave is all about Black men, upping their game across the board: money, style, fitness, mental health, across the board. It's about stepping your game up, because whether you're going to be dealing here in the United States, here in the community, or whether you're going to be going overseas, either way you look at it, you still got to, be the best version of yourself. Either way, whether you're going to go overseas and deal with a lady over there, or you're going to be here in America, you're going to deal with a lady over here. Either way, the times demand that you really bring your A game. So that's what the Black Manosphere Conclave is all about. We're in our 4th year. I can't wait until everything is official. We've locked down our venue. I'll put it this way: we have the best venue in H-Town. We're coming to Houston this year. We've been planning this for 2 years, because we wanted to do Houston for a good long minute. It's one of the biggest Black cities in the country. We want to do Houston. We want to come to Texas. And so we've been planning this for 2 years, and it's finally coming to fruition. And we've locked down the best venue in the city of Houston, Texas. I can't wait to put the word out as to exactly where we're going to be. But if you're in H-Town, if you know, you know. And that's really what it's all about. It's about Black men being the best version of themselves, because you're going to, most Black men are not going to go monk indefinitely. You might go monk for a few weeks or a month or two. Fair enough. But for a season. But you're not just going to go monk indefinitely. At some point, a woman is going to be involved, whether she's here, whether she's over there. And we live in a period where brothers got to bring their A game. And that's what the Black Manosphere Conclave is all about. By the way, we're staring down. We've crossed 250 tickets sold. We're now staring down 300 tickets sold. Our target is around 500. That was one of the reasons why it took us a while to get the venue straight, because we needed a venue that was going to accommodate 500 brothers. So this is our biggest conclave yet. I'm jacked. I can't believe I'm excited. Like I don't.
And I'm coming to my first conclave this year.
So, you want to be at the conclave?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh wow, yeah, this is gonna be great.
I wanted to come to the one in Atlanta last year, but then my daughter, life got in the way. So, but I'm coming this year to the conclave, especially because I've never been to Houston, so it's time for me to rock out in Houston. and
Yeah.
and get involved and stuff like that. So I will absolutely be there.
Can I share something with the brothers? Speaking of the conclave, can I share something with the brothers?
Yes.
They might not have seen this. This is what we did. Speaking of Atlanta, this is what we did last year at the conclave.
Oh, hold on a second.
All right, well, welcome to the Black Manosphere 2023. I am Jason Brown, one of the coordinators. And as you can see, we have the men here. They're working, they're networking, they're building relationships. Just got done with our second IT session.
Yeah, what you see today here is a group of men from different backgrounds, economic locations coming together for unity to empower men of color, black men specifically, and to encourage them to be the best version of themselves, to challenge themselves, and also to build a form of brotherhood. Me personally, as one of the speakers, it was a privilege to talk to men about how to dress appropriately. Now that they've taken the steps to improve themselves, they also have to present themselves because we know our ethnic image is extremely important.
We want to catch you next year. 2024 Houston Black Manosphere event. Definitely come out. We're sold out here. Standing room only, virtual. We still have a lot of guys in the virtual. I love the excellence on these black men. I love the unity. I love the fraternizing that's happening, the building relationships and networking. So come on out and see us next year. Black Manosphere Conclave 2024, Houston, Texas. Peace.
Yeah.
I recognize a lot of those brothers.
Yeah, a lot of, and they're going to be coming back too. We got a lot of brothers. You saw El Wapo and Richie Magzuna Thailand. He's flying in from Thailand. Andre Love crossing borders, flying in from Santiago de Cali, Colombia. We got brothers flying in from Bahamas and Brazil. We got brothers coming all over the place. You know, it's funny. One of the things that a lot of people don't know, the Black Manosphere Conclave, 75% of its attendees are active passport holders. 75%.
What?
Yeah. In the country, among black men, the number of passport holders by percentage is, if I'm not mistaken, is still in the single digits, even now. But at the conclave itself, and last year we had 200 brothers there. This year we're going to have, like upwards of 500 or more. 75% are active passport holders.
Oh my God. Dang. Yeah. So speaking of passport bros, and this is a good segue into talking about Vivica Fox. Listen, I was at work last week. I was at work last week, and I just happened to be walking by this pod, and it was a 35, a 52, and I think one lady was about 60. And there was this young CNA. She was 21. Mm-hmm. And I heard her asking them about what she needed to be doing because she was trying to find somebody. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I just went into the patient's room that I was, needed to go take care of. But when I come out of the room, I'm hearing these women tell her about, she gotta get a roster. They need to spend $500 or $600 to even. The 35-year-old was like, they need to cash out you $200. Now I've heard this stuff online, but I never heard it in real life before. Wow. You need to go find yourself. You need to go explore. I mean, all of this nonsense.
You need to go find yourself.
All of this crap.
When I hear the words, you need to go find yourself. This is what I think. Right here.
Big. Juicy.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, you need to find yourself.
Right. And that's what that means. And I go, oh God, I said, why do God always put me in these damn situations? And I stopped and I looked at the 21-year-old. I said to her, ask these three women. I said, she's 35, 52, and I'm thinking, I said, ask them where their husband's at. I said, if they telling you gay, I said, I know what you think. To the young lady, I know that crap sounds good to you. I said, but ask them Where are their long-term men, or where are their husbands at? I said every last one of them should have husbands now, including the 35-year-old. Do you want to be 35 without a man?
Yeah.
I said
it's not pretty, for ladies that are, above 35 and manless. It is not pretty. It's not pretty. It's one thing if you're you're young and an attractive lady, and I'm very forgiving of, as I call them, young chippies. I'm very forgiving of them. We all been young and did something dumb and stupid. I get that. Fair enough. But you get to be Vivica's age, talking about now I'm ready for you. No, that's not a good look.
It's done. I told the young lady, I said, they're not telling you the truth because they're low-key jealous that you can get their man, but they can't get yours.
Yeah. It's and it's kind of sad. Kevin did touch on this too. There is a lot of competition between and among older and younger black women, and it's pretty fierce. And we can get into the reasons why, but the bottom line is that you got a lot of older black women that kind of try to do everything they can to sabotage, younger black women. So
and the younger black women think that these ladies got their best interest because they're a little naive to the game, because they think why would they not want to see me succeed? But they don't understand that these women are out here wanting what you want because they screwed it up over the years. Ain't no way a 35-year-old lady should. And the other thing I told the ladies, I said, that 35-year-old that's talking that nonsense about he need to send you cash after spending this amount of money on you. I said if she was that type of chick, she wouldn't be in here working like you.
Yeah. So this is where we are. I mean, we do have the Vivica A. I understood the reason why a lot of brothers was like all over the Vivica A. Fox piece. I understood it because we all know of Vivica. We may not know the Vivica A. Fox person.
Yes.
But we all know a Vivica A. Fox person. That is to say, a black woman that is legitimately attractive. And whether she's an actress or not, she could be, like you said, she could be in the nursing field. She could be whatever she's doing in everyday American life. But she's above average attractive. And, she kind of, just like pissed away her best years. Instead of leveraging her beauty and her youth and her virtue, if you will, leveraging that to get the best man she can get and lock him down. Instead, she kind of, pissed away her best years. And now, a few years out from official AARP status, she's like, now I'm ready for you. It's like, no, I don't think so. We all know somebody like that. We all know a Vivica.
We all do. We all absolutely do. All right, so that was a pretty long preamble, but I just wanted to get that in there so we can relax into let's get into the Obsidian story a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I don't know a lot about your background. Share what you want or what you're comfortable with. But before Obsidian became Obsidian, growing up, who was Obsidian growing up? What was your experiences growing up? Like you said you're from Philadelphia?
I am. Philadelphia, born and raised, as Will Smith would say, fellow homeboy. Kevin Hart's from Philly too. So there's a number of brothers from Philadelphia, 215 stand up. Yeah, born and raised in Philly. I was born at St. Luke's Hospital in North Philly. And that's my ancestral home. That's where my grandparents are from. My mom and dad got married in my great-grandmother's row home in North Philly. And I grew up in a section of Philadelphia called Germantown. I no longer live there, but that's where I grew up. And it's technically a suburb. So we lived a suburban middle-class life. My father was a longshoreman. Then he became a contractor, had his own contracting business. My mom was a lifelong nurse. She met my dad when
a for real nurse, not like these ladies, who call themselves a nurse, but they actually like a CNA.
No. She was the real thing. She's not a candy striper. She's not a CNA. No, she was the real thing. And yeah. And matter of fact, she even got to a point where she ran her own private duty nursing business, and she had a lot of girls underneath it that was just coming into the field, and that's how they got their experience, their hands-on experience in caring for the elderly and the infirm and whatnot out in the far-flung, Montgomery County and Bucks County and stuff like that. She did Delaware County. She did very well in that business. My dad, like I said, he was a contractor. He had a team of about 5 or 6 journeymen, all black men, journeymen, tradesmen, skilled tradesmen, mason, electrician, wall, drywall, carpet guy, tile setter, carpenter. He had an all black team, and they did very well. My mom and my dad. My dad was 35. And my mom was 19, and he saw her.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh,
he saw her in a cute, and back then they had to do. See, today they don't have the cute nurse outfits. Back then they had the cute nurse outfits. Yeah. And he saw her going across the street on Broad Street, walking to work one day, and he busted a U-turn in his Cadillac, Coupe de Ville, and pulled over, jumped out, spit game. And a month later, they got married. And they've been married for 30 years, 5 kids, 30 years, all successful, middle class, suburban, both owning their own business. It's the American, it's the all-American success story.
Okay, hey, Osidian, do you know how many the young men up under us will never understand what it's like to watch a girl walk down the street and you got to flip a Yui to go holler at her?
That's all but gone now. I mean,
man, when you said that, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm a late Gen Xer, so I'm like, I remember as a teenager, I got a car, a little piece of, I don't know what you want to call it, a little piece of 4 wheels when I was a sophomore, and I remember being out on the weekend, and everybody, it wasn't uncommon for people to be out at night walking and not come up missing or DOA, you know what I mean? Yeah. And we in my hometown, we all congregated down at the lake because I'm from Wisconsin, so Lake Michigan. Busing U-turns. It doesn't even have to be at night. It could be a Saturday afternoon and you driving and the chick is walking to the corner store. You about to tear the whole car up, doing a U-turn cross traffic, trying to, they don't understand what that's all about, man. That kind of cordon, or like a dog hanging out the side of your car driving, almost running somebody over because you're trying to get her attention. Look.
Yeah, that era is almost gone. I mean, I can't remember the last time I've heard a brother doing something like that. So it is a bygone era, definitely.
It is, but nowadays guys try that. They trying to call the police.
Oh yeah, the whole creepy move and Me Too and all that. So yeah.
Yeah,
we really kind of jack things up with that.
Yeah, they don't understand house parties and getting together at the old basement parties. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they don't understand none of that. Yeah, absolutely. So you said you grew up all Americana, 2-parent household. So you're not the stereotype, huh?
No. I had my father was a very powerful force in my life, and as a matter of fact, I credit him for a lot of the success in the man that I am today. Him and my grandfather. My dad and my granddad, both Marines. My dad ran away from home, so to speak, to join the Marine Corps and go to Korea. He would tell me stories about black GIs in Korea, Army and Marines. He was in Marines. He would tell me about how they were treated. The black GIs were treated by white GIs. And matter of fact, he used to tell me about, so he was over there, and the Soviets and the Chinese, because they had Chinese pilots flying Soviet planes, and they would drop leaflets on the black GIs. And the leaflet, they would be in English, and the leaflets would say, Negro GI, why are you here in Korea fighting? We have no quarrel with you. You get treated like crap by your own white government. They treat you like dogs and animals. We have no quarrel with you. Why are you here fighting? That sort of thing. So, and he used to tell me that he had to fight the North Koreans in the daytime and had to fight the crackers at night. So yeah.
I have an uncle. I don't know if it was Korea, but I think he told me a similar story. I got an uncle. How old is
Well, my dad was born in 1935.
Yeah, 35. So yes,
he was barely 16. He lied. He ran away and lied about his age.
Oh wow, he was barely 16. Korean War.
Yeah, when he jumped, when he went to the Korean War, he lied about his age.
So yeah, well, they were telling the truth. They're telling the truth. We don't got no quarrels with you. What, you know, why are you over there fighting us for them? When you get home, you're gonna be treated like you're gonna be dog walk when you get home. They don't even tell the stories about what happened to the black soldiers that once they returned from war. You know, and the fact that they would get jumped and beat up and sometimes killed for even wearing the damn uniform.
Oh, my dad told me stories about that. He was originally from Savannah, Georgia. So, when he got back home from Korea, he didn't finish schooling in Savannah. He dropped out very early, maybe 6th grade or something like that, to help the family. And then he ran away and joined the Marine Corps. So when he got back home, he had gotten his GED in the Marine Corps. You could do that back then. Can't do that today. But back then, you could go and get, while you know, as the old folks would say, while you're in the service, you can get your education, get your GED. So he got his GED, came back home, and went to school on a GI Bill, and he went to Votech school. But the thing was that they would take all the white GIs first, and they would get all the choice spots in the schools. And it didn't matter if you was going to college, Votech school, whatever it was, the white GIs was getting it first, and then they would give whatever was left over to the black GIs. And my dad told me about that too. I mean, the black men of his generation, and my grandfather was a Marine Corps drill sergeant in World War II. He told me about sleeping in segregated barracks, eating in segregated barracks, and he's training men to give black men to give their lives overseas. And they got to eat, you know, basically behind the outhouse and that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's understandable why black men from that era, Vietnam was another one. I'm from Philly, and the old Thomas Edison High School, if you look it up, the old Thomas Edison High School had one of the largest death casualty rates of high school graduates. They were black going to Vietnam, had one of the highest. You could look it up. It's understandable why black men of that period, you know, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, they really felt some kind of way, man, about things. And it's understandable. Reverend Jeremiah A. Wright, another Marine, you know, who was Barack Obama's spiritual advisor. He went to my same high school, Germantown High School. He's an alum of Germantown High School. Go Bears. And, you know, we all heard what he had to say. Well, I understood exactly why he felt that way, because, you know, my dad, he had some hard feelings about it, and my granddad had some hard feelings about it. And, you know, I knew brothers that would, you know, served in Vietnam. They had some hard feelings about them. Brothers rightly had hard feelings about it. They going and, you know, getting blown up, and they didn't call it this at the time. We call it today PTSD. They call it shell shock back then.
Yeah.
You're getting PTSD and, you know, all jacked up and Agent Orange and all kind of crazy stuff, and still getting treated like crap by white society. Yeah, you're going to feel some kind of way about that. My father was no exception. That was one of the things. Two things really drove my dad to be successful. One was him getting a hot wife at 19.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that was a big, because he wanted to put as many babies in her as possible. They ended up having 5. So, yeah, you know what I mean? So
he didn't give her no break, did he?
Yeah, exactly. So there was that. But then the other thing that really motivated him to be successful was the fact that he wanted to do everything he could to get away from, as he would call them, crackers. He wanted to do everything possible to run his own business, do his own thing, call his own shots. That was the real impetus for him to be successful, and that kind of rubbed off on me. So, yeah.
Let me ask you a question, because I'm sitting here kind of thinking, I'm listening to you, you know, talk about your father, and I am no exception, but the volume of black men who can't tell a story like that. I didn't meet my father till I was 30.
Wow.
I'm 46 now. Do the math. So I've only known this man 16 years of all my adult life. So growing up, because I know you had to have partners, people in the neighborhood, people you went to school with, you know, I know you're around guys growing up who did not have what you have in the home. What did you think about that when you were experiencing those brothers growing up?
You know, it's funny. Back then, the what you just described, it was there, but it was very, very small. So the majority, and we lived in an integrated block in Germantown, so it wasn't all black. It was black and white. The majority of the homes were 2-parent homes. The majority of them. You had a few, 3, maybe 4 in a block of like 60, 70, houses and families. You might have had maybe 3, possibly 4 that had a single mom type thing. So they were in the minority in the 70s and 80s when I was coming along. And it's funny. So I did have buddies. I did have one buddy, childhood buddy in particular. He came from a single mom home, but his mom would remarry his stepdad. She would remarry. So even with that, there was the caveat that it was still expected that marriage is going to happen, as opposed to the day where it really doesn't. So but here's the funny thing though. So my buddies, so they knew that my dad, what kind of work my dad was doing. And my dad, his thing was, if my boys got his boys around, that means I got me a work gang. Good, I could put them to work. You know what I mean? So
he like, free labor.
Yeah, and here's the thing, but the parents loved it. The parents of my buddies, they loved it. They was like, oh yeah, Mr. Bob, he puts them to work. That's good. Keeps them out of trouble, that sort of thing. So it got to a point where they would see my dad coming in his van and they'd be like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Run off.
Oh wow. They were bug out.
Oh yeah, man. They see him coming, because they knew what was going to happen next. Go put him to work. And it was funny because especially during the summer months, like right now, it's summertime. A lot of my buddies' parents would bring their sons to my dad instead of taking them to like day camp or that sort of thing. They would bring them to him and put them to work, and he pay them and put them to work. And by the time he got, because you were busting rocks and you were moving bricks and you were sweeping up and you were shoveling stuff, man. By the time you got finished toting that barge and lifting that bale, you going straight to bed. You just like, I'm done. I can't do anything else. So
man,
yeah,
I would have hated to see your dad come. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all.
That was wild, man.
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering that because so with me being born in the late 70s, I grew up. I would always say that my generation is the last generation that actually, to a degree, saw, about when I grew up, it was about 50%.
Yeah.
Of the people were not about half of my friends still had their parents in the home. By the time I graduated high school, that was damn near none of them.
Yeah. It happened pretty quick. Yeah.
And my grandmother raised me. My mother didn't even raise me. My grandmother. And how many of us black men got that story where our mothers did not raise us, that they pawned us off on? Well, my mother ended up getting married. She married a man, and I was already there. And I wasn't his, so that was a problem.
A source of tension, yeah.
It was he was very problematic. So my grandmother had to intervene. And I can tell you this story too. There was an issue. What caused my grandmother to intervene, and I didn't find this out till after I met my father, was that there was a call made to my father because of the things that my mother's husband was doing, with me. And so it was all violent, very, very violent. I'm like 1, 2, 3 years old. So apparently there was a relative, like a cousin, contacted my father and said, this is happening. You got to come do something about it. So apparently my dad showed up. So apparently he showed up, and he showed up with a crew. You know what I mean? Yeah. Shovels, So apparently he was told by my grandmother and mother that first of all, he was coming to take me, and they stood in the way of that. Like called the police, all this, just made it very difficult for him to remove me from that environment. So, but I didn't find this out till I was 30 years old that this happened. And I actually vaguely remember the man showing up, because it was in the middle of the night. I remember the incident because it was late at night, and I remember the front door opening. My bedroom had a key shot to the front door.
Yeah.
And I remember it was rain. I had to be no more 3 or 4 years old, Osidian, but I remember this moment because I remember my mother begging.
Yeah.
I just remember her begging whoever was at that door. Yeah. She was begging this man for the life of her husband.
Right.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that at the time. So I didn't get a chance to experience that because people stood in the way. And then I ended up having to go with my grandmother said, okay, I'm going to take him out of the situation because this is going to get, if this happens again. And then somehow my grandmother convinced my father that it was not in his best interest to come around again. So I still don't know the details of that. But when I found out the story and I confronted my grandmother about it, she just kind of sat there and she kind of started crying. I said, I don't want to hear that crying shit. That was not your choice to make.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, my story is not uncommon in my age group. You know what I mean? It's not uncommon that grandma or somebody stood in the way of the father actually doing something. You know what I mean?
So, yeah. Unfortunately, that's true. But I'm really, it's kind of bittersweet in a sense because, like we was talking about earlier, the way that my dad met my mom is almost gone now. I mean, that's that period.
Yeah, and imagine a 35-year-old trying to date a 19-year-old now. How he would try to.
That would be scandalous now. But back then, it wasn't a big deal. It was
no big deal. It's what happened. It was no big deal. They'll try to hang him. They'll try to call him a pedo and all this, even though that's an adult woman. They'll try to call him a pedo and all this.
My mom was living with, she was buddying up with her girlfriend, and they both were nurses, both worked at the hospital. They had their own apartment together. She was living on her own. She was working on her own. I mean, she's a grown woman. She graduated high school, had a nursing training, and she was living on her own. But today, that would be, you're right. It'll be considered very problematic. So.
And then also too, the women of that era and even the men of that era, they were full grown, like within every sense of the word. I tell people all the time, I had conversations with women who got sons in their 20s now, and they treat them like they're 12 and 13, 14. And I would remind them that the very so-called civil rights leaders that they idolize, those men were in their 20s.
Yeah.
A lot of them started putting their life on the line in their 20s. Martin Luther King is 28, 29 years old, leading movements across the country. He was at 33, 34 when he was taken out?
Yeah. Well, he was 39.
39.
Both him and Malcolm X were both 39 at the time. Yeah.
Come on, man. And now we treat a 30-year-old man like he's 12.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
And I argue all the time with ladies, with single women who got these 25, 26-year-old boys at home, young men at home, and they're saying they're not ready yet. Then I would tell them, then you failed.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I was out of the house at 18, man.
Come on, man.
I couldn't wait. I was out of the house. I graduated in June and was literally grandfathered into my very first union job a month later, and I never looked back.
You worked in the union?
Oh, yeah.
What did you do? What union?
My very first job coming out of high school was working for an industrial roofing company. And that was my very first union shop job. And my grandfather worked there. And he literally grandfathered me. I was literally grandfathered in. And then I would go from there to other work. And I would end up spending 22 years in an industrial environment as a industrial light systems mechanic and machine operator, machinist, and stuff like that. So yeah, I was well on my way. I couldn't wait, man. I could get my own little bachelor pad and have my cars and my motorbikes and stuff like that, man. It was great.
Hey,
I had a ball.
I would tell women, I said, listen, I know you want your son to be men, but they can never become a man in your house.
Yeah.
they need to go through the things that a young man needs to go through, and they can't do that with you.
Yeah.
And they go, well, you just think I should throw my son to the wolves? I said, there's nothing wrong. I said, you're not throwing them to the wolves. Fathers who are in the home who tell their sons, look, you're either going to somebody's academic career, some union, or a military. They're not throwing their sons to the wolves. They're preparing them. They're preparing them for the life of the fact of this world, and that is that the world doesn't give a rat's ass about most men.
Yeah.
And they need a set of skills to be able to survive that, and not only survive it but thrive in it.
Yeah.
And you cannot do that when you got these men out here that are delayed. I'm 46. You know how many 40-year-old men I know that's still living at home?
Yeah, I mean it's wild. That's the one thing that I really can't relate to with regard to younger brothers today. I just cannot conceive of living at home, even with my dad living at home at 25. My dad used to call me boy until I was like in my 20s. My dad started actually referring to me by name. I think I was like 22 or something like that. But up until then, my name was boy, and so I couldn't.
What do you think changed that?
I think what changed it is me demonstrating that I could live as a man. Go to work every day, be responsible. Go to work every day, show up, do what I was supposed to do, and maintain myself, maintain a roof over my head, feed myself, clothe myself, to a standard that my dad expected. And that's when he changed. And I tell you something else that really changed too. When I brought home a young lady that
here we go.
My mom and my sisters did not approve of. They did not approve of them. But my dad, he was like, "That's my boy."
That's what we do,
son. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Well, mom and sis, they sense things a little differently. You know what I mean? But dad is like, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and enjoy yourself, boy. Yeah. That's what he want. That's what he want to say, because dad understands what you got to go through.
Yeah, that was wild.
Gotta go through. Speaking of that,
yeah, that was wild guy. But yeah, so that's what changed it, was being able to demonstrate that I could live on my own and handle my own business. My dad raised me to be able to handle my own, but he made it clear, I'm not always going to be with you. You're going to have to be able to handle problems on your own.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny too. There was so of course, you growing up, you got your running buddies, and I got into DJing parties at a relatively early age, I was in teenage years, and I made good money. So I would make money on the weekends when I was going to school. On the weekends, I would work with my dad in the daytime, and then at night, if I wasn't too beat, I would go and DJ parties. So I made hundreds of dollars a week. I was making grown man money. I was still a teenager. And but here's the thing. So we would go to these parties, right? So we go out to West Philly. I'm in Germantown. So we go out to West Philly, South Philly. And my dad was like, okay, so here's the deal. If you get in any trouble and the police come calling, I have no idea who you are.
Whoa.
Okay. If you go out there,
that got my attention quick.
And you get something jump off, you got to ask yourself, are the buddies that you're with going to be there to get your back for real? Because I'm not. I will tell them I have no idea who you are, and then I'll make another one and they'll look just like you. So it's kind of like Mission Impossible. They give you the mission. They say, if any of your team gets caught or killed,
we will disavow
all knowledge of your existence. So that made me think long and hard. Did I really want to go out to West Philly with these guys? You know what I mean? So,
wow, man, your pops wasn't playing. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, I'm not gonna bail you out of trouble. He was like, I don't know you.
Oh yeah, he said it. He told me up front. My dad was very much like that type of person. He will tell you up front what he's going to do, and he definitely will make good on it. He said, I will tell whoever calls, I never heard of you, and hang up the phone and hang the phone back up.
Wow.
So that made me rethink a lot of outings out to place strange new worlds. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know if I want to do that, man. just in case. I had to really be careful about which parties I went to and things like that. 'Cause I always kept that in the back of my mind. Something jumps off here, and back then, you did have your knuckleheads that started fights and that sort of thing. And it wasn't as ubiquitous as it is today, but you did have guys who had guns. It was rare, in a typical year, you might have 1 or 2 incidents of a shooting, but as opposed to now, it's pretty much all the time. But that could happen, and even if they didn't have guns, they could have knives, they could have pipes, they could have bottles, the 40-ounce bottle, bust that upside your head, they could stomp you out. So I mean, it was a lot of get rolled on and whatnot. So it was a lot of things that you had to consider, and you going into alien territory and don't know these people. And he's got all his buddies, and it's just you and your little squad, and you are kind of outnumbered. So, yeah.
Oh wow! All right, I'm looking at the time. Look, I want to start talking about the early formations of the manosphere. But before we do that, I want to play the clip that you sent me. Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
To answer the question of why there's a black manosphere, you have to know what created the black manosphere. It's important to understand that the black manosphere comes from a legacy of silencing black male voices and a history of black militancy being watered down and deflected into other agendas. Black male voices have been systematically shut out of most establishment spaces such as academia and cable news. Even activism born out of the deaths of black men at the hands of police is dominated by a breed of black gatekeepers who deflected attention away from black men and women on the street and into divisive agendas where black men have only 3 distinct roles: predators who must be incarcerated, disenfranchised victims, or dead. This led to the majority of young black men feeling ostracized and unheard, so they began to speak to each other via podcasts or through social media. Eventually, they created ecosystems and platforms for themselves, and the rest of the world began to listen and respond positively to what they were hearing. Networks became fan bases, which became communities, all outside the reach of the gatekeepers who tried to silence them. The Black Manosphere was created by black men who were forced out of every other media avenue, so they had to create their own lanes and own audiences to be heard. So thank you, gatekeepers.
Okay, so here's where I want to kind of go a little bit. So, what was your first or earliest understanding that there was something wrong with not only the image of black men, but also our relational issues with our own woman?
Yeah, the main thing that got me into what would become the black manosphere is I would listen to a lot of, now we're talking about the age of Oprah. So this is before Oprah got the Oprah Winfrey Network. This is when she was still on network television. Essence Magazine, Michael Baisden, Steve Harvey hadn't made the transition from comedian and funny man to de facto, love guru. He hadn't done that yet. So we're talking in the 90s going into the 2000s. So at that period, there was a big deal about, college educated black women, professional black women, successful black women having to marry down to blue collar guys. And as a lifelong blue collar guy, I took extreme exception to that. And the reason why I took exception to it was because in my view, we were always being scapegoated for the reason why they had such difficulty. And I noticed in these conversations, there were never any actual blue collar brothers speaking up for themselves. They were never there. We were always talked about, but never talked to. So when I retired early in 2009 due to a severe back injury on the job, that gave me a chance to really speak to all of those things. And that's what led to me, putting the, helping to create what would become known as the Black Manosphere. That's how it all got started.
Where was these conversations happening?
The Oprah Winfrey show on network television. I think you still find.
I'm talking about for black men. Where were they happening? Because they weren't happening in mainstream.
No. And here's the other thing too. So O'Shea Duke Jackson and the Angry Man, we all kind of got our start in 2015, and we didn't know each other at the time.
So we were all kind of converging on this point, and we came to know each other, and that's how the Black Manosphere kind of, grew. It became a thing because we were all talking about similar things, that like that video that you just played, that the marginalization and lockout of rank and file Black men's voices. So that's how it all got started. But for me, it got started because I got tired of blue collar brothers being scapegoated. And here's the interesting thing. So years later, and because every time I would tell people this, they would kind of look at me sideways like they didn't know what I was talking about. So I am glad that the Ebony K. Williams bus driver thing happened, because now everybody got a chance to see exactly what I was talking about. Why did Iyanla Van Zandt bring up a bus driver? Why didn't she bring up a successful lawyer type brother in that conversation? Why did she automatically go to a bus driver? That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, I know it's rhetorical, but I'm just thinking maybe because a bus driver is the epitome of blue collar to a degree.
Right, but again, there are plenty of brothers that are lawyers that are single, and why aren't we talking about them?
Do you think Iyanla was trying to take a low key shot at blue collar guys with that?
No, I think she was trying to take a low key shot at Ebony herself.
At Ebony, okay, fair enough. Like these conversations like that with O'Shea, Angry Man, what platforms were you guys using? Was it YouTube? Did you guys start out on YouTube?
Yeah, we all started out on YouTube, and I wish I'd have known. Rumble has been around since 2013, but I did not know of it then. I did not know of Rumble when I started on YouTube in 2015.
Yeah, I didn't really know about Rumble until I think, who got deplatformed first? You or Fresh and Fit got demonetized.
I would have been last year. Yeah.
So it was either between one or two of you that I actually heard about Rumble.
Yeah.
I really didn't know anything about it as an alternative over there with Rumble. Okay.
Yeah.
So you said so it was essentially the start of this was essentially you three fellas.
Yeah. And we got it started.
Yeah, because I know. I know things bits and pieces because I have not I haven't been around enough to know. You know what I mean? I haven't gone down the rabbit hole, but I do know that O'Shea was responsible for finding various, other men. I know Donovan used to work for him. Is that
me too?
Right for him?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
We both wrote for him. A number of guys wrote for his magazine, The Negro Manosphere, which is now defunct. But as a matter of fact, my book is really, for the most part, with some notable, maybe 5 or 6 articles, something like that. I wrote, completely for the book itself. But actually, the majority of the book is a compilation of columns that I wrote for the Negro Manosphere, and it was done like that on purpose.
Okay. Now that's a different. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How did the Manosphere grow? Because like I would say from like 2019, 2020, somewhere around there, there was like an explosion. The Manosphere became a thing.
I think part of it was Kevin. I think Kevin really kind of put a spotlight on the space. But also part of it was, we had been in the game for a while and we just started to gain traction. So I think it's a combination of factors. I don't think it's any one thing that did it. But those are a few of them. Yeah.
Okay. Because I know like I said, I looked up on a lot of the content on happenstance. You know what I mean? I wasn't really consuming YouTube content or nothing like that. I was at work bored one night. You know what I mean? And just happened to open up my YouTube app on my phone, which I had never done. Not in any meaningful way. So I was so for me, this was all like a new world and everything when I actually started seeing some of the content out here. And my first impressions was like, oh my God, this is, a lot of the stuff I felt, I believed to a point, but I never really saw anybody talking about it in a meaningful way until then.
Yeah, yeah. And the Black Manosphere has since grown to become a force in its own right. And there have been numerous attempts to try to take us out. And each time they try to take us out, we just keep coming back even stronger. So at some point, these lovely ladies and the simps and useful idiots that they snivel after are going to have to just, like throw in the towel and recognize when they're beat. You can't beat the black. And the reason why you can't beat the Black Manosphere is because you can't beat ideas. So.
Well, okay. I've seen a lot on a lot of different platforms that they've decided to try to figure out what exactly is the manosphere, and I see a lot of guys running from the whole notion of the manosphere.
Right.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, a lot of guys, they ain't built like that. A lot of guys ain't built for when things go left or perceived to go left. They run. And that's how you find out who the real guys are from the guys who are the pretenders. The guys who are the real guys, hold their ground and do what they got to do and fight. The guys who are the pretenders, they tuck their tail between their legs now out of dodge. So
because I don't think Kevin identified himself as manosphere. Am I right about that?
No, he didn't wave a flag, but I mean it was very clear where he came from.
Where he came from. Okay, because I see now, I'm thinking during Kevin, now after Kevin, that I'm seeing a lot of guys during Kevin's time frame, walking around with their chest out, and now I'm seeing people run. I don't want to use a biblical reference like the Judas effect,
Yeah. So it doesn't bother me because I'm very fortunate to be able to work with a stable of guys who are really about their business and it's really grown. And I've been very fortunate and blessed to have a loyal following. Very supportive following, so they're pretty much going to show up wherever I go. So I've been very fortunate in that regard.
Okay, why do you? I know I'm asking questions for you to kind of speculate a little bit, but why do you think the guys out here, or a lot of guys out here now, and I don't have anybody specific. I'm just talking about what I just kind of see, as I scroll through and I hear various conversations. Why do you think that they are so afraid to identify in that space? Even though they're clearly in that space.
They don't want to make mama angry. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. They don't want to make mama angry. A lot of guys are afraid of black women. They'll never admit it. But,
I've said that before.
Yeah.
And I'm a small, my little space over here is real small. But those who rock with me, they will attest to the fact that I've said multiple times we got too many brothers out here who are afraid of our women. And I don't know why they need to be afraid.
Well, because they can go and get white zaddy on you, and white zaddy don't make me doesn't do anything to me. I don't give a shit. But for a lot of guys, they're scared to death, man, of that. So
yeah,
all I say is if you're scared, just say you're scared.
Hence what I played for you at the beginning. Never scared, right? Bone Crushers, never scared.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand why you need to be afraid. One of the things I hear a lot of guys talk about. Everybody talks about how a man wants respect. How can anybody respect you when you're afraid of your own woman?
Yeah.
That's
where we are.
I would ask that, and of course I would never get a good enough answer to that. I'll hear, "Oh, I'm afraid of it." But no, it kind of seems like you are. Yeah. If you're running away from what I believe the Black Manosphere was supposed to be about was a place that could help you do self-improvement.
Yeah, that's the other thing with the Black Manosphere rejects and certain modern black feminists try to say that we're not about that, and they have no idea what they're talking about. They haven't been to any of our conclaves. They don't know what they're talking about. I have guys that contact me all the time, thank me for, basically saving their lives. It's kind of embarrassing, but yeah. As well as my compatriots, the fellow four horsemen of the conclave, Theo Wav, Shannon Rawls, JB, Jason Brown. We get guys all the time coming to us and thanking us for it. So we putting in work, and we're going to keep on. We're going to continue to keep putting in work.
So who would you classify now, outside of your four, who is a part of the manosphere?
That's a good question, because what's happening right now is that you're starting to get pushback on both sides of the manosphere. So the white side and the black side. And it's coming from both men, white men and black men. And I think that's a good thing. I think that that gives us a chance to demonstrate who we say we are. Iron sharpens iron. So I for one welcome their critiques, because I have a few critiques of them of my own. So I welcome it. And as far as who's in the manosphere and who isn't, Benjamin Franklin said it best: we either hang together or we will most assuredly hang separately. So,
what do you think about the current state of the manosphere? Where is it now?
I think it's fantastic. We've pretty much, I got into this business to, really force a real conversation. Like I said, as a lifelong, skilled tradesman, my dad, skilled tradesman, and others that I've known in my life, we were never part of the Black love conversation. We were never part of the discourse. We were always talked about, never talked to. And I decided to do something about that. And me and other compatriots bringing their own contributions to the mix, we kind of changed the conversation now. Now everybody's talking about the manosphere in one iteration or another. And we've kind of changed the dynamic. And part of that is due to Kevin, but also part of it is due to Andrew Tate, Fresh and Fit, Rollo Tomasi, and others. And I think that's all a good thing. We can, good people can disagree. But we've changed the dynamic. We've changed the conversation. And I think that's a good thing. Now we have an actual conversation between men and women. Now we have a real one, not some contrived, BS, or as I like to call it, a non-versation. Now we have an actual conversation. And I think that's a good thing.
With the our MTR was placed on this list. This was it the male chauvinist terrorist list or whatever.
Oh yeah, I don't pay attention to stuff like that. I've been placed on lists. It's funny. 8 years ago, I was placed on a change.org petition list to have me removed from YouTube. It worked this time around, but back then it didn't work. And actually, it really didn't work this time around either, because I'm back on YouTube, bitch. But nevertheless,
which is weird. You can't have a channel, but you can't appear on it. That doesn't make.
Well, in a lot of ways, it's even better, because what are you gonna do? You can't. You cannot be booted for having me on your show. A lot of people think that you can. You can't.
No. Well, because Tommy Sotomayor, he shows up all over the place on YouTube.
Yeah.
And they took his channel, and they haven't booted anybody.
Exactly. So for the brothers out there that's got their own podcast and you want me on your show, hit me up. theobsidianfiles@gmail.com. Welcome to do. Matter of fact, I definitely want to do it, because I got a new book getting ready to drop, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Modern Black Feminism. The Black Man's Guide to Understanding Modern Black Feminism. It's an obvious nod to Sister Scheherazade Ali. And I'm finishing up the book as we speak. It will drop in the next month or two, and will be available for autograph, sign, and purchase at the Black Manosphere Conclave. So if anybody out there wants to, we call it the purple book, because the first book was black, the second book is red, and this book that's about to drop is purple. So we call it the purple book too. Any brothers out there got podcasts, or if any brothers out there know of brothers that got podcasts, definitely would love to come on your show, especially on YouTube, because definitely want to talk about this book about the modern black feminists. And one modern feminist in particular was the impetus for me to write the book in the first place. So thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
I got a name that I think you would enjoy. His style. There's this new brother on the horizon. His channel is This Might Be Risky.
Yeah. My man Ham. Yeah, I'm definitely wanting to get up with him. Yeah.
Yes, get up with Ham. He's doing some great stuff. He has the attention of a lot right now. So Hamp is really doing my thing. And then over the last several days, he has been very instrumental in promoting you coming over. That you're going to be here tonight as well. So
tell Hamp, man, to get up with me, man. You got my information. Tell Hamp. Yeah. Out to me, man. I'd love to come on the show.
Yeah, I'll text him when we get done here tonight to let him know. Yeah, you absolutely. And I think he will be. And when his in his chat when he mentioned the fact last week that you were coming over here, his chat was like, "Oh, when you get done over there, you got to come over here." So
I look forward to it, man. Yeah.
And I heard people. This is what kind of got me a little bit. They're like, well, isn't that like copy? Look, there's room for everybody. Why would I? I didn't understand the whole notion of why somebody would be offended or think that there's some kind of thing because if you come over here, then you show up over there. I say go where the impact can be made. You're coming over here to help, which I appreciate that immensely. And Hamp's channel is where I think a lot of impact can be made, and there's no shame in that. When we got to do a better job of getting behind the brother that's on the rise.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. If you see a brother and his jet engine is firing up, help him with deliver that brother some fuel.
Yeah, and rising tide lifts all boats, man. So I'm always down to help other.
Yeah.
If I can help other channels, get on and get some traction, I'm all for that.
Yeah. I think you'll do it. Yeah, over there, man. That right there. I know my podcast is through the fire, but that'll be fire over there. A question about the manosphere. Do you think it's given? Do you think it's still relevant today?
Absolutely, more than ever. The black manosphere in general, both the white side and the black side, more than ever because of what's going on in the wider culture. There's a big conversation about the state of men and boys, and men and boys aren't doing well. And the reason why men and boys aren't doing well, and the reason why the manosphere, both sides, white and black, is ascendant, is because the institutions of American society have failed men. The college, increasingly the military. I'm very sad to say that. Increasingly the military. I know a lot of military guys. And they're just quietly biding their time to get out. Because a lot of those guys tell me, man, this isn't the military that was our dad and our granddad's military. It's gone woke. It's gone progressive with a capital P. Manliness is under attack. Masculinity is under attack. Why do you think Trump is pulling such good numbers? Because he doesn't apologize for being a guy. When he made the I can't say it on the air, but when he made the remark about grabbing the ladies by the he didn't apologize for it. He didn't say, "I'm sorry I said that." No, he said it and he meant it, and that's that. Well, look, you're not going to apologize. It's just like with the whole thing with Stormy Daniels. My thing is never apologize. Yes, I tricked on that broad. Yes. The hell you think I'm supposed to do? I'm president of the United States, one of the richest men on planet Earth. Yes, I tricked on that broad. Yes. Now what?
I never understood. I'm not saying I'm a Trump supporter, but I never understood why they gave such a damn about the fact that he paid for a hooker. You know how many men pay for hookers?
Well, pretty much all of them in Washington.
Oh, there you go. I mean, if that's the case, then you might as well string every guy up whoever went to a damn strip club.
Exactly. It pretty much both sides, both parties, judges, senators, congressmen, the whole bit. Yes, I tricked on that. Yeah, now what? So what?
Yeah, definitely. Listen, I want to talk about a little bit about, speaking of the manosphere, and the attack on you personally. I really don't understand exactly what happened and how and why you got exiled from YouTube.
I had a dust up with a
with an individual named Kimberly Nicole Foster. And she's a modern black feminist. As a matter of fact, she's one of the main people that I write about in the book that's getting ready to drop, the Purple Book. And she got angry because, you know, I could make more money talking about her than she could. And she complained to YouTube, and they removed my channel for copyright violations. But you know, ain't no thing. My very first day on Rumble, I made like $1,500. So ain't no big whoop to me.
So she made a complaint, and they just snatched your stuff. They just snatched.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, here's the thing. YouTube will do that. I tell every brother over here that if you want to have an unabashed voice, you cannot do it on YouTube. YouTube is increasingly going woke. Right now, it's 54% male, 45% female. I suspect that it will continue to climb in the female column and continue to decrease in the male column. Anytime you have women in the majority, censorship goes through the roof. So this is the reason why at TikTok, you can get your channel taken down quickly, because TikTok is anywhere between 57 and 60% female. Whereas Rumble is 65-35 male. Twitter is at least 60-40 male. Instagram is roughly 50-50 male-female. Facebook, believe it or not, is over 60% male. So I've been just focusing on the platforms that inherently play to my strengths, because what I do appeals to a male audience. You know, I operate by the philosophy of the great pickup artist Mystery. If you get the men, you will get the women. So, and we have women that want to, you know, try to, you know, infiltrate the Black Manosphere conclave, and they try to sneak in and that sort of thing. So, you know, the Black Manosphere attracts women. So, you know, I just focus on getting the guys. You get the guys, you get the women.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you focus on the women, you won't get any guys. This is the reason why guys like Derek Jackson or Ace Metaphor, who I like, by the way, I like Ace Metaphor, but this is the reason why they don't really attract a whole lot of guys, because they focus on the women. If you want to get the guys, focus on the guys. The women will come as a byproduct.
Well, Derek Jackson got so popular because he pandered his ass off, and most ladies would throw him up in guys' faces about who we should be talking like.
Oh yeah, and you know that all died down after he
did what he did with his wife. But we were telling women left and right, this dude is lying to you. This dude is a clown, and they would shout us down like you would not be. Oh, you just jealous. Oh, you just a hater.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
After he had his Scooby Doo moment, you know, his unmasking moment, found out he was the fuck boy that he had been talking about all along. A lot of ladies kind of hung their head in shame after that.
Right. For a little bit when at the first incident with him, you know, they tried to figure out a way to defend it, but then it increasingly became.
Oh yeah, well, Tasha K kept hitting him with receipts. So, you know, receipt after receipt after receipt, it just at a point you're just like, you know what, I can't defend this at some point. So, you know, a lot of ladies just get real quiet, and you know, and it proves that the Black Manosphere was right yet again. You know, a lot of modern black feminists like Kimberly Nicole Foster, they really get mad at the fact that a lot of the things that we say are true. And if you notice the brothers on the other side, the Tony Gaskinses and the Ace Metaphors, they'll never say that we're wrong. Now, they may say that they don't like what we say about women, but they never say that we're wrong, though. So everybody knows what we're saying is right. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to a brother over the weekend. He made a video saying, you know, the Manosphere guys are actually kind of right. So everybody knows that what we're saying is right. Again, what it really boils down to is, I don't like what you said about black women. And my rebuttal to that is, you know, deal with it. There's some black women on some fuckery, and that's just what it is.
And that's what it is. And here's what I would crack up about sometimes. You know, our women, Osidian, would always bitch and moan about leadership. But then when we try to guide them and lead them, especially away from wolves like Derek Jackson, then they want to fight us until they get mauled. And when they get mauled, then they want to come running back. usually with their head down, like they don't know what happened.
Oh man, black women try to act like they never heard of Derrick Jackson now, so I never let them forget it. That's the reason why I write about it in every book I can get. I told you about this guy Derrick Jackson. Let me tell you about him. I write something about it.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm never going to let them forget it. Never.
Nope.
I bet there's a brother in the chat room talking about bunk beds. Yeah, that was funny. Man of Tomorrow, he would do that. Bunk beds for these broads. Yeah, bunk beds. I like that. That was funny. Bunk beds. Yeah.
Speaking of, I wouldn't say controversial, but the lady who got you, exiled from YouTube. I'm calling it exiled from YouTube. What are some of your more other notable controversies that you feel were controversial or that got people in uproar while you were on YouTube?
How many have you got? It's a number of them. I had a tete-a-tete with a lawyer named Sophia A. Nelson. I called her Miss Thang. She tried to threaten me with lawsuits, and I just told her, I said, okay, well, if you do that, then I'll countersue. And she never heard from her again. Me and Crystalline Carrison kind of crossed swords. There have been a number of ladies. Some of them I write about in this upcoming book. So, yeah. And I know that you kind of refer to it as exile, but I actually think of it as her setting me free because I actually make more money now. Believe it or not, that sounds crazy, but I actually make more money now, and I'm freed up from the restrictions of YouTube. I was laboring. That's the reason why it doesn't bother me. I'm like, man, if I can do what I did over on YouTube, laboring under all that crap, imagine what I could do when I don't have all that crap to deal with over on Rumble. Man, this is going to be great. And the success of the Black Manosphere Conclave this year is proof of that. I mean, we haven't spent one dime in ad dollars, and I'm not on YouTube at all. And we're staring down 300 tickets sold, the most that we've ever sold so far. We're trending toward 500. That's what we're projecting. So, and we locked down the best venue in the city of Houston to hold the conclave. Meanwhile, Kimberly Nicole Foster can barely get, 24 women to be bothered with her little group. So.
All right. Real quick to the chat. I just dropped the link. I got a couple more things I want to bring up with Obsidian, but I just dropped the link. Come on up if you got questions or things that you want to talk about Obsidian about. We're only talking to people who want to talk in good faith. If you want to be on some nice, we're not dodging no difficult questions. We're just talking about good faith conversation. So I just dropped the link for a few of you brothers. Give us a few more minutes to get through a couple more things, but there's a couple brothers already in the back, but we got room here. Let me move some of this stuff out the way so we can get let me see, make sure I'm not kicking you, Obsidian. Hold on. Oh no, you know what? I'm not gonna touch it. So come on up in the back, give us a couple minutes, and then we'll chop it up with Obsidian. We're at the 2 minute mark. A lot of y'all know I'm ready for bed.
Yeah, you and me both. So let's get this going.
Let's get this going. One thing I wanted to talk to you about personally, which is, and I kind of alluded to you, I think earlier before we went on, about Pearl, Hannah, just Pearly things, and I thought that was one of your more controversial discourses that you had with Pearl. Now, now that some time has passed between what got her quote unquote in trouble, your interviews with her and her subsequent behavior since then, I want to kind of get your take on your Monday morning quarterbacking take on the issue that people had with you with what they saw as you defending Pearl. And for those of you who don't know, Pearl got herself in a little bit of trouble by and you can help me out, Obsidian, because my mind's a little foggy and I didn't want to clip her stuff. I didn't have time to clip her stuff up from back then. But she had on what was that young man's name? She had on Nick Fuentes on this channel. She got into a conversation about stuff that I thought she was a little bit outside of her depth on, and she made some not so politically correct statements about what she thought about slavery. She insinuated that it was embellished to a bit, Am I getting this synopsis?
Yeah, you got it right.
That she thought it was a little bit that she thought it was to a degree embellished. People erupted. Obsidian and others came to her defense. Am I using that correctly, or you came to? There's the word? I don't know if defense is the right thing I wanted.
Yeah, I was wrong with that. The defense.
Yeah, to the defense, and Negroes and all across the diaspora lost it over how it seemed like black men were coming and surrounding this woman. So now that we're some time away from that, how do you think about that situation now?
I think about it the exact same way. I wouldn't have changed a thing.
Really?
Yeah. Would approached it the exact same way. I haven't had a chance to upload it over on the Rumble yet, but I need to. I'll just go upload all of the original interviews, and I did interviews with Nick Fuentes. So I wouldn't have changed a damn thing.
I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to put this. I think the problem that a lot of people had with the Pearl thing, well, I think you already noticed, was the fact that they felt that her being unapologetic about. I think everybody understood that she was outside of her depth of knowledge on that. Would you agree with that? That I think there was a general consensus that people gave her a pass on it. It was the fact that she wouldn't acknowledge that. Do you think that was the issue?
She did apologize for it, and look at how that turned out. She did apologize. It's all on the tape. She did apologize. Look how that turned out.
Yeah. I remember. There's an apology, then there's an apology.
Okay.
And I'm not so sure I can say specifically, what I think. Should the woman, crucified herself after that? No, I wouldn't go that far. But I think the message that it sent with the amount of guys that rallied to her defense, I kind of, to a degree, understand why a lot of sisters took umbrage with the optics of so many brothers that came to her defense over that issue.
Well, it's funny. These same sisters have amnesia when guys like me came to their defense, put them on. They now suddenly they don't remember that. So, cry me a river.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Uncle O done brought Big Pearl to the cookout. He'll get over it. Okay,
they'll get over it. Yeah, I didn't. For me with the Pearl situation, I think what kind of struck me wrong was how much, and maybe it was just people's perception of what she actually was. I think people had the perception that Pearl was somehow the new Kevin Samuels. She was the new, savior in the space, but she never identified that way.
So which explains, what it says is that a lot of these people themselves thought that. She never thought that, but they did. So who's got the real problem here?
And I'm thinking about her in conjunction with Caitlin Clark a little bit. I have a little bit more.
Uncle O going to take Caitlin Clark on one arm and Big Pearl on the other. Get over it.
Yeah,
get over it.
For me,
the little guy with them big white women. Yes, I'm taking both of them to the cookout. Get over it. Just get over it. All right.
I think that the Caitlin Clark.
We have raisins in the potato salad too. So just get over it. When I raisins, carrots.
I'm sitting. We're not doing no raisins in potato salad, brother.
We're gonna have pumpkin pie.
We're not doing that, brother. We're not fucking doing that. We're not fucking doing that. I'm telling you that right now. We're not doing that shit.
Let's get over it. I've never seen so many black women so angry before in my life. It was like, what the hell? Come on.
Well, I don't even know if they were really angry. They were really angry.
No, they were angry, brother. They were mad. They were fit to be tied.
I don't know if it was angry at the Pearl thing or more so the reaction of the black man thing.
They were angry at Pearl, talking about she looked this way and she looked that way and this and that. It was angry at her too. Yeah.
Okay. All right, all right. One more thing I want to talk. Over the last year, how long you been gone from YouTube now, or you been set free from YouTube? How long has it been?
Not even 6 months. Well, yeah, about 6 months. About six
months. Okay. So what do you believe are some key learning objectives throughout that process that led up to that, and then now that you're trying to rebuild over there on Rumble?
I should have been over on Rumble sooner.
Damn.
A lot.
What would you do differently?
I would double down even harder. I would go even harder in the paint. Kimberly Nicole Foster say some other dumb shit. I'm going to go even harder in the paint. You know, I did do a 30-day long roast on both Cynthia G and Feminista Jones, and you know, I definitely can do a 30-day long roast for Kimberly Nicole Foster too. So,
wow,
she knows what I know. She stay quiet.
All right, real quick, I kind of want to double back to the conclave. How did you come up with the conclave?
That came about. It got its start on Kevin's Facebook group, The Mix. Theo Waff and some other brothers, along with me, were members there, and the idea was that he wanted to do something to train brothers in IT and STEM, but he really didn't know how to go about doing it. And so there's this brother named Lil Big Nate. He wasn't a member of Kevin's mixed group. He was, you know, on Bernard Riley's show. And he came up with some really good ideas, and him and Theo kind of worked together. So he was going to bring in the more quasi-political end of it, and Theo was going to bring the STEM IT end of it. And he had some really good ideas, but there were some other things that I don't want to go into here that wasn't so good. So we ended up kind of parting ways, but we retained some of the good ideas that Lil Big Nate had, and we kept that with the ideas from brothers from the mix, and that's how the Black Manosphere Conclave came to be that we know it today. So,
okay. And when's the next Black Man Conclave? When and where?
6th through the 8th in Houston, Texas. And you can still get your early bird tickets. Prices will go up substantially July the 1st, so you better hurry and get it now. www.black-manosphere.org.
Yep, and the information is on my community tab page. It's on the community tab page. So if you can't write it down right now, you can go to my community tab page, and the conclave is there on my community tab page. Yeah. Now, okay, I got a couple of brothers up here. Are you brothers there? You guys can go ahead and unmute and unmic.
Y'all here, man? What's going on, guys?
Hey,
yeah, we here.
Okay, all right. Let's see. I'm gonna start with Kofa. You got any questions, comments, concerns or smoke for Obsidian?
Man, I ain't got no smoke for Obsidian other than my cigar. But he turned me down when I offered it to him at the conclave last year. What's going on, O?
Hey, what's going on, Kofa, man? Good to see you, man. Hope to see you at the conclave in Houston.
Yes, sir. It's a work in process. I'm trying to get there. But I had a quick question. So I know you're Muslim. I just took my Shahada. Have you seen what we're seeing in quote unquote modern day society as far as black dating spilling over to the mosque? I
haven't. The brothers at the mosque are still kind of holding the line, from what I can tell. But I'm no authority on that. But that's my sense, that they're kind of holding the line on that. You know, us Muslim brothers. I mean, I'm very lenient. But you know, Kofa and the other brothers that know a lot of brothers that are serious about the deen. They could be some pretty strict doctrinaire brothers.
Yeah, definitely.
They're not going for a lot of this stuff that passes in polite society. They're not going for it. They'll tell the ladies, look, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Period.
And the reason why I was asking is some of the mosques I've attended, or even some of the sisters I've talked to that recently converted, they still fall into the baby mama category.
Right.
Multiple kids from multiple men, then they found Allah, on and on. So have you heard anything from the brothers as far as dating single moms? I'm asking because I want to show see the landscape for what it is in full and not just the ratchetness that we see online. Because we can see a sister with her job, but if she carries those same traits, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything so far, but again, don't quote me on that. But so far, I haven't heard anything. The brothers seem to be holding the line so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll pass it.
Obsidian, do you think they're holding the line because of the discipline that they're up under?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of Muslim brothers are very, they can be pretty intense. So, I mean, the ladies got to get on program or they gonna be replaced.
You know what else I noticed? Oh, even more so than the men, the older sisters has been around a while. That's what I've noticed. They're not going to allow any type of foolishness from, I guess modern dating, modern women as we.
Yeah, in Islam, older women, and this probably is because of Khadija, peace be upon her. It's probably because of her. But in Islamic society, elder ladies, if you will, more mature ladies, do have a degree of sway, especially when it comes to women and other younger women. They do tend to have a kind of sway that you don't see as much in other societies. So that might have something to do with it. Yeah.
All right, VBN, unmute yourself. Any questions, comments, or smoke for the good brother Obsidian?
No, I'm just glad to be talking to the brother again. And I just said on my podcast the other day, the old man is always good for giving us these phrases. So a lot of people might have missed what he said earlier. Non-versation. I love it. But that's one of his gifts. He's always been, blessed, I guess. He says them all the time, but, I don't even think he knows he says them, but he says them all the time. But I'm glad he's still doing his thing. Shout out to Miss Brown Sugar. I hope her voice is still around.
Yeah, she's doing well, man. She's doing well.
I'm always that guy that always called into your show, and I remember when she was thinking about quitting one time, and I called in and I said, no, we need your voice, baby.
Yeah.
And you said, yeah, man, we appreciate that. She needed to hear that, so I'm that guy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely miss her voice. Miss you being on YouTube as well. But we're gonna have to start transitioning and finding other revenue streams. I guess that's what we're gonna call it. We can't just be dependent on because they can box us out. So
yeah, I'm
glad you doing what you're doing.
Every brother should get a rumble, man. Every brother should get a rumble. That's where
I got one. I just haven't really. I was listening to what you said. You wish you had went over there sooner. My channel is very small. My channel is very small, so I don't really branch out very much right now. Like you, I had to retire early because of health reasons. So, I kind of dibble and dabble here when I can, when I feel like it. TJ got on me the other night, man. I was 3 o'clock in the morning. I just went live. Man, ain't you supposed to be asleep? That's what he said to me. No. Somebody got to watch Gotham. That's me. So I was up.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we always appreciate you. And too often, I think we focus on what we don't like about people. We always focus on that one thing, or those two things that we disagree on. But what about the 8 or 7 or 8 things we agree on?
Yeah, exactly. How about that?
Why we can't build with that stuff?
Yeah.
I just said that to a young lady on my channel the other day. She had said something about, what do you think, Angry Man and Obsidian and these guys, they should apologize. I said, apologize for what?
Yeah, I'm about to say, what did she say we need to apologize for?
Well, some of the things, I think it's caused problems with black women. And I said, I don't care how they take things. We didn't make this space for them. We made this space for us. And they come over here.
And the other thing is exactly what kind of problems did we cause?
For them, or the way they perceive it. I said, you're going to perceive what you want, how you want to perceive it. I said, but what about the good it's done? What about that?
Yeah.
What about when men weren't speaking for the last 50 years? You didn't have nothing to say. Now we got something to say, and it started, way before YouTube. I mean, I remember these conversations were small back then, but going back to GeoCities and Yahoo Towns. And I mean, that was before everybody had broadband. back in the 90s and you had to be like really on a college, university, or a corporation to have that fast internet. But these conversations, men have been gathering together, saying them since the beginning of time. They just didn't know.
Yeah.
But now they want to control our speech, but they always get on us for trying to control them. But when it's okay when they want to control us, I find that ironic. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, good talking to you, man. I'm gonna take one more call. See my man, Kosher Conditioning, and I'm gonna take it down.
Yeah.
Hey, Kosher, you there?
Yeah, man, I'm there. Hey, what's up, brother? How you
What's
doing?
going on, Kosher, man? Hope to see you in Houston, man.
Yeah. I gotta get a ticket from you or Shannon. I don't know.
Yeah. Get in touch with Shannon. He's got you covered.
All right, good, great.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you and I are both from Gen X, and there's been a lot of conversations about this. Why did the Manosphere form? And I've always said prior to coming to YouTube, being a licensed therapist, working with young black men, I was a school teacher. I've done it all. I'm an adjacent to the Manosphere. I support male talking points and male content, and so by default, I got caught up in with black male talking points. But I've always been an advocate for men and boys. But one of the things I want to ask you, because I used to do a lot of studying with Dr. Jawan Kunjufu.
Oh yeah, he's good. He's good.
Yeah. But in actually some of my seminal work when I was in graduate school at UNC Chapel Hill, a lot of my papers was on black male efficacy. So I tell people I've always been coaching. Before there was the Manosphere, before there was YouTube, I've been doing this since I was 27. But to the point, two questions. And I'm gonna make this thing fast. One, what happened, in your opinion, to black male resiliency? That's number one. And why don't the current generation, I know what it is, but I'm to your point, why doesn't the current generation have the same savviness of Gen X?
Man, that's a good question.
To answer the first question first, the last question first, what happened? Lack of dads. You got. We just talked about this earlier, me and TJ. You got grown-ass black men, 24, 25, 26, 30, still living at home with mom. That's inconceivable to me. But these women have basically infantilized these men. They can't function. They can't clean up after themselves, cook for themselves, do anything for themselves. What woman is going to want them? What men is going to need them? I mean, they're not, they kind of really jacked up there. As far as the resilience piece, you don't really know who you are and what you got unless you've been tested.
Right,
and that's another reason why the whole exile piece, I kind of laugh at that respectfully, because if I am who I say I am, then no one setback is going to take me out. It's just that, a setback, and I keep right on getting up because I am who I say I am.
Right. I think the rites of passage has been dissolved or greatly dissipated. And, if you look at all tribal cultures, fathers said to take the boys away from the mothers because the mothers did things based on their feelings. And I'll say this before I let you go. What I see in clinical practice now, because, my practice is growing, I'm building my practice through teletherapy. And so, I got my own brand now. But I see a lot of over-identification. And in the clinical, we call it introjection. And because there are so many single-parent homes, boys tend to identify with female talking points to the point what it does upset it arrests their development. And so when they see masculine men like you and now, we're from the old school, like we just talk. People say, well, wow, I can't believe they're talking about women like that. From Gen X, we've always talked like that. Hell, we got it from the barbershop. That's how we talk. We got our standards, what we want in the women. And it's shocking to me, that I guess people think I'm some kind of monster. How can he be a therapist and talk like that? I'm a man first. I always tell people I'm a man before I'm a therapist, and everything else supersedes itself. But I've never in my life seen such a soft generation of dudes, and I think part of it too is these microplastics in food. They said that men's testosterone levels are more lower in them than they ever been before in human time. What do you think about that, Briggs?
Could very well be. I mean, I'm not a scientist like that, but it's very possible. I think the single biggest problem, and especially in Black America now, unfortunately, is going into other areas of essentially white America. But the single biggest problem is that we took the father out of the home. Mm-hmm. And that has made a lot of black men weak. I hate to say it like that, but it's the truth. Made a lot of black men weak.
I agree. I totally agree.
That's just the truth. And I know that's how I was raised. When I got to be 7 years old, I started working for my dad when I was 7. And what I would do
That's a little old. There's not a whole lot I could do at that age. So I basically just dragged around his tool bucket, and then I would sweep up. And then as I got older, I'd be assigned little small tasks. And then when I got to be a teenager, 13, 14, 15, then I started doing small jobs, and I would be assigned to work with the roofer one day, the drywall guy the next day, the plumber guy the next day. I would get assigned to do that. So I was basically a de facto apprentice for about 10, 11 years until I graduated high school. So I was in high school having VOTEC classes. I would take welding, spot welding, arc welding, other metal shop, foundry, and stuff like that. And then also I would be an unofficial apprentice under my dad, and I started at 7 years old. After that, I spent most of my time around my dad and his guys, and spent relatively little amount of time around my mom and my sisters. I had three,
right.
And so I didn't spend a whole lot of time around them. So,
Hey, Obsidian, I know we're tick-tock tight on our time, but can we get just one more question in?
Yeah.
We get out of here. All right, little podcast Beans, welcome for the first time, brother.
What's up, bros? Can you hear me?
Yep. Comment, question, or smoke for the brother Obsidian.
It's really for kosher, but since Obsidian agreed, I want to know who are these guys that they're talking about who don't have the same savviness, who live at home with their moms in their 30s. Like what percentage of black men do you think that refers to?
Wow. I don't have any numbers on this, so this is just all my impressions. But based on what I'm seeing on social media and what I'm hearing, it suggests that it's a not insignificant number. What that number is, I honestly don't know.
Yeah, see, this is my problem with the manosphere, is that it seems to me the manosphere is all about hierarchy and pecking order and people punching down. I experienced this on so many channels where we feel like for some reason that's necessary to separate ourselves, and at the same time we saying it's the manosphere and we all need to be together. But if 35% of the US's working force are millennials, and we have to be talking about millennials because we're saying they're 30 years old still living with their mother, so that would make them millennials. But if 35% of the workforce is millennials, which is about 56 million according to my research, and there's 72 million millennials in the United States, but that seems like they're overrepresented in the workforce when they only making up 21% of the United States as a population, but they are representing 35% of the workforce. Seems to me like they outside getting it done. And maybe that's the message that we ought to be promoting instead of trying to make it seem like, oh, it's something wrong with all of our boys.
That's an interesting point. That's a fair point. TJ, I want to thank you, man, for having me on. I'm running on fumes here. I gotta get to bed. But I really appreciate you, brother. Y'all guys check me out over on Rumble. Just look for my name. You'll find me over there. I appreciate you. See you all at the Conclave in Houston, September 6th through the 8th. 2024, www.black-manosphere.org. Appreciate you, Kosher, and y'all be good, man. Thanks you so much.
All right, thank you, Obsidian. Hold on, podcast. I want to talk to you. Thanks, Obsidian. I appreciate you. I'll be in touch, brother.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, Beans. When you say punching down, what do you mean by punching down?
I mean, like what we just experienced, right? We have a panel full of men. And, it's final questions, this and that. And then all of a sudden it's like, yo, what do you think is wrong with these young men out here? What? That's what we want to talk about? Like, no.
Well, let me interject real quick, briefly. And I'm going to talk about what I've seen, what I've done. I worked in law enforcement. I've seen the pathology of a lot of young men now compared to the generation that I was from. So you use the euphemism punching down. I'm not trying to punch down. I've been advocating for boys and men my whole life. I worked in law enforcement. I taught school. It was all for the advocacy of black boys. But what's happened now, what I'm seeing is that there's a generation of overly emotional men. That generation that you're talking about, they're the millennials. I worked with those boys in training school when I was in my 20s. Now those guys are in their 30s now. So I'm just going by what I've seen and how I've tried to advocate for a lot of them, but they just don't personify the tenacity that I saw in the past. And so my point succinctly is, not only as a licensed therapist, but also as a teacher and working in training schools and working in law enforcement, is that they don't seem to have that generation quality like the older generations had. Am I saying it's 100% exclusive? All of them, no. But they have been socialized different. And I'll say from a clinical perspective, a lot of it is introjection. A lot of it is over-identification with women because they don't have masculine men. They've never seen it. And then when they do try to get the tutelage from men, they project out of anger towards their fathers because they've never seen masculine men in unison. So that's what I say. That's why I say what I say.
Yeah, it's not that it's not like you're misrepresenting. I think when we say these things though, I think we have to put them in context, right? I try to hold everybody to that, but it seems like in this space we only want to hold women to that, right? When women come up and they over sensationalize things, we are quick to jump on them about it, right? But that percentage of guys that you're talking about right now is a small percentage, right? The overwhelming number of black men in this country, I could make an argument for 60% for sure, because they have an income at least, are okay, right? Now, if you want to talk about them from a psychological, emotional standpoint, yes, we can have a deeper conversation about that, right? But at the same time, I think in this moment, I would have rather had a conversation about what's going on in this space, right? And what's and like with the conclave thing that he was talking about. I looked it up real quick. Okay, something going on. Tickets, $300, all this and that. You know, that's fine, you know, but I'm saying, what is it about? What are you actually doing? What do I get for that? What efforts are going to be made, you know what I'm saying, to make my life better or my son's better? How is it going to benefit me? Is it just networking? Because we can do that online. And that's what I'm saying. All this seems like a money grab. And instead of taking the time to express how it isn't and how we're actually going to benefit the people or, you know, raise people up and all this and that, we want to talk about what the kids ain't, or, you know, what the women ain't and this and that. It's like, have a deeper conversation is my thing.
Well, listen, you're gonna always have a contrarian point of view. That's just part of the conversation. They're gonna always be contrarian views, pros and cons, yays and nays. I'll say from my perspective, when I went to the conclave last year, it was very powerful. As far as it being a money grab, I don't know all about that. I mean, hell, I don't get no money, so I don't know about all of that. But I've more or less given my service to the conclave to more or less empower men and boys, but especially black men, to say, I got power, I need to utilize my power, and I don't need to be subjugated by a system that's gynocratic in order and a system that tries to minimize the efficacy of black men. The problem with black men now is that they don't have a voice. Anytime black men say something, people start damn pissing, or they're trying to come up with conspiracy theories. Black men got to tap dance. I don't tap dance for nobody. I'm a man. I say what I want to say. I do what I want to do when I want to do it. I've always been that way. I worked in law enforcement. Like I say, I was the CO for 2 years with the Department of Corrections, 7 years with the Department of Juvenile Justice. And as I said earlier, I saw those black boys, and a lot of those boys, sadly, being danged on a damn thing with their lives. They, for what I'm seeing, they're weak. They over-identify with women to the point that men can't say nothing. Anytime men say something contrary to the gynocratic order, it's a problem. Now, the whole thing about the manosphere, I'm an adjacent, as I said earlier. There ain't no card-carrying membership where you can become manospherian. I was hustling and working for boys and men before the manosphere even existed. So I've always been coaching. I've always been advocating. I've always been putting in work. And like I said, the last thing that I did, I got my master's from UNC Chapel Hill. I've been grinding there ever since. And so when I went, is for male advocacy, to say it succinctly. It's for me to unify and more or less network with other black men that are going through crisis, because consistent with Dr. William Glasser said that needs drive behaviors. The reason why the manosphere came into fruition, because men weren't getting their needs met. You would be surprised, Beans, what I see in couples counseling, where men know what I'm saying is right, but because they over-identify with female talking points, because they're wussies, they don't say anything. I'm from all the smoke, brother. I'm 6'5", 270 pounds. And like I said, I don't hate nobody, but if anybody get in my face, they can get this work. Like I told them, I'm a man before I'm a therapist first. And I've had people try to flag me, mess my channel up, and I am going to Rumble, and I'm coming up with some new concept in the future. But a lot of this beings is an ongoing attack on black male issues. Some of it is spiritual, consistent with theology. It's called the spirit of the Antichrist. It's trying to destroy anything associated with black men. And when you got other black men to speak out, because these boys, they're going through what I call arrested development. They are chronologically men, but they're going through a state of arrested development. Some of it beings is that they have a hatred for their fathers. Man, I call it man. Man got a hatred for his father because man had to be the man in his home. It's self-fulfilling prophecy, but not only that, beings, it's called spousification and adultification, where boys have taking on the roles of their mothers, and they over-identify with the mother's talking points, that when men do speak in unison, they got a problem with it, and they project out of anger because they're not seeing black men, used to seeing black men in power, and that black man reminds him of the father that he never had, number one, but also it reminds him of the father that his mother talked about, because man never identified with men. He's only identified with his mama, and that's why he struggles so much.
Yeah, I listen, I'm not saying that you're wrong. And I actually appreciate the fact that you're coming from a psychological place, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're not the person who's just telling everybody to get to the bag and that's the solution to everything, right?
Right. I agree.
But what I'm saying is this, and here's why. Because right, this same system that we're operating in is the people pretend like we're not still under subjugation, but we are, right? So there are people who are in charge who have rule over us. Right, the same way how this brother could lose his YouTube channel, right? He can't say what he wants to say, but other people can say what they want to say. So we're supposed to pretend now all of a sudden that that's applicable to YouTube, but not the real world, right? No, we're still under subjugation, right? We're still under rule. There's still oppression going on. Understand that this system that we are in is the exact perpetrator of that. So the more that we do to benefit the system, the more we help the system oppress us. It's a no-win situation, really. Right. The more money we generate, the more we benefit the system that is literally built to oppress us. Like there's no real win in this. Right. And I'm saying, yes, we can't lay down. Absolutely. But at least sometimes we need to have the deeper conversations, the more uncomfortable ones. Right. The truths that we don't really want to say, the truths that we don't really want to hear. Just so that these younger, because I'm gonna tell you something about a young person, because psychologically I'm probably still 17. I'm going through something right now that I shouldn't be going through at this age psychologically, right? And I've come to a point where I'm learning not to say too much on YouTube because people don't really give a shit. They just gonna use it against you, right? They're not gonna empathize with you. But something that happened to me growing up as a kid is now bothering me right now in my 40s. Well, I feel like I can't communicate with my mom about it.
Right.
Because when I go to her about it, she gonna want to talk about God. She gonna be dismissive and all this other stuff.
Right.
Instead of actually communicating with me, right? So I know these men that you're talking. I know these boys that you're talking about, and some of these men now that you're talking about, because I was one of them, right? And psychologically and emotionally, I still am there. But what I'm saying is the truth, right? That's the thing that really like put the fire under our loins, right? To make us say, well, if that's really what it is, then whatever, I'm running through this wall. You see what I'm saying? When I know you telling me the truth, I don't care if I don't like it. I respect it. Right? I absolutely 100% appreciate it. You understand what I'm saying? So I think that's what I'm saying is that we just have to be willing to say it like that. Because when you're young, one thing about it, these young people, they can't, they can't express themselves as properly as you can, as fluently as you can, right? When I was in college, I saw some essays. People kind of write the way we talk on the street, right? But I was an excellent writer. So I had to understand why my professor would applaud them more often than me when I was the one getting all A's. Well, they needed it.
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying? And I didn't, right? So understanding that people can't always express themselves, it don't mean that they don't know it. And these young people know when they being bullshitted. So I'm saying we just need to be committed to being honest with them and telling them what it is. Hey, look, I'm setting this up right here. And yeah, you got to pay me for doing that because blase Skippy and woo wop the band. Give me the choice to say whether or not I want to deal with that. Versus leading me to believe it's something else, and then I invest my money in it and I walk away from it the same person I was when I went.
Right. Well,
hold on,
Go ahead,
Kosha.
brother. Go ahead, brother.
I want to get
Go ahead.
Black America in here. Oh, I want to get Kofa, then Black America. But Beans, let me ask you a question. Maybe I'm just mishearing what you're saying. Do you believe that knowledge and experience is free?
Do I believe that? Well, as far as monetarily, absolutely. Yes.
So you think it's free? So those of us who didn't get that, who didn't receive that in our development, do you think that we should be getting that for free now, or do we need to pay for it?
No, I think there are situations where you can purchase things if it's to your benefit, but I also think that altruism is necessary. Right? Not everything needs to be done for money. That's the problem with this country now. We want to industrialize every single thing. We industrialize music. We industrialize the healthcare system. You know what I'm saying? Now we want to industrialize information. We're in a war. We're being oppressed. We got this fight going on, but let's make some money while we do it. After I just got through explaining how the more money you generate, the more you empower the very system that is oppressing you.
I think you're missing what CJ tried to say to you just now.
I'm not missing what he's saying. I understand exactly what he's saying.
No. Just listen for a minute. Because you reversed what he said. He wasn't talking about you making money. He was talking about you investing. That's what you just missed.
I didn't miss it. I understood exactly what he said because I specifically stated, if you were listening, that there are times that you will have to pay for information, especially when you know I'm going to go do this thing or get this thing or invest in this thing for yourself. Absolutely.
So my question to that would be, when are those times you won't have to pay?
My mouth is moving. But I'm speaking from the position of the person who has the information. And I'm saying altruism still has its place. Now, let me see if anybody's going to respond to that before you try to tell me what I'm missing. Am I wrong? Should we not be altruistic in our approaches in life?
Well, I think where he was trying to go was from an investment standpoint. That's why I see
I'm asking you a question now. You see how you dodging it?
And I think,
should we ever be altruistic in our approaches? Yes or no?
I think what you did was redirect what he was trying to drop on you. That's what I'm saying.
Let me say, I think I know what Beans is trying to say, and let me say this, and I got to move on. Listen, there's a time for all things. Is there a time for altruism? Yes, I've done it all the time. But see, here's the problem with that, Beans. When you got professional people that are licensed like myself, they don't have time for altruism because time is money and money is time. Am I saying that you can more or less? What I'm doing on YouTube is really altruism. I'm giving free advice for free. When I do my shows, it's free advice, but I have to more or less synchronize it and storytelling to convey a point to the masses, but also to convey a point to other brothers. So when I come on YouTube, I'm giving it for free. I'm giving guys nuggets and gems. Most therapists charge anywhere from $150 to $200 an hour. I'm doing it for free when I give it for free. But see, the problem being, what I've learned is that when you give people free stuff, they don't appreciate it. And so, at this current crescendo in my life, I can't keep giving people stuff for free. They're gonna have to pay for my service. Everybody want help, but they won't help on their own terms. And so I can't do that. Like I said, I created almost 900 videos where I'm giving free game. If they haven't learned anything from that in the context of what I've given, then they're not ready for change. But once again, there is a time for all things. And yes, you can give your service for free to time. But however, people will never respect what I had to do. It took me 9 to 10 years to get all this education, brother. And and I'm not getting nowhere near what I'm worth, but I'm going to get it at some point. And so, like I said, from doing YouTube, from talking with guys on the low from time to time, everybody wants your time for free, or they'll assume because you're a black man, you're supposed to do it. And I say, the hell with that. You're not going to get my time for free, because if you went to the white man, the white doctor, whoever, they're going to charge you. I don't care who it is. But for some reason, people think because you're black, you're supposed to tap dance and just be nice and all that. And like Tavis Mallett say, all skin folk ain't kin folk. And I learned that the hard way, trying to quote unquote help folks because they got black skin.
No, I absolutely appreciate that perspective, Coach. And I didn't even want to get caught up in whether or not something is free or not. I was just making the observation, right, that often in this space, particularly when we're talking about the manosphere, that it seemed like everything is a money grab, right? Because because here's the thing, we cannot keep talking about all of these black people ain't this and black people ain't that while the manosphere exists. And what is it doing then? Right? It's either working, it's either benefiting people, it's either raising the folks up, or it's not. And if it's not, then we should be able to have a conversation about that. If it is, then let's stop speaking like black people are just so down and out of it.
All right, let me get Kofa in and then Black America, then we're going to get up out of here.
Yeah, just real quick, the Beans point. I hear what he's saying, but I'm aligning more so with Kosher. The thing with the manosphere is, like you said, we can, what's the purpose of the manosphere conclave? I think you asked. We can do that online. That's what we're doing here. But then we get pushback for doing it here, and it's like, oh, it's all about the women. It's all about these young men not doing things. I'm 42. It's my turn to pass the baton. We have already been through that fire. Shameless plug for TJ. We done already been through that fire as young men in our 20s and 30s. So when you see this group of older men that are talking like this, it's for a purpose. It's learned. Like I tell people on my channel all the time, my job is to get you smarter quicker. Is to get you emotionally better quicker. We done been in love, had the heartbreak. Nobody ever wants to talk about it. This is where the manosphere, men-centric content space comes in when we're sharing this information about divorce. Because these brothers are coming from different places, like you said, here on the internet. TJ's laws about divorce and single fatherhood and things are going to be different in his state versus me sitting here in Atlanta. And the same thing with another brother. So a lot of it is just passing information. As far as the Black Manosphere Conclave, I see Brother Theo Woff in there. He's teaching hundreds. He's probably taught well over literally 1,000 men within the last few years how to navigate the cloud space as far as IT technology and things like that. I met brothers personally at the conclave last year that went from making $40,000 in 2022 to making $140,000 in 2023. Because they got out the emotion, they stopped worrying about the woman or what's going on with their kid and all. They let all that shit go and they focused on that IT serve and they got it and they started making change. And when we're speaking to as far as sharing information and getting money, that's the thing that's still held over our head as Black men in the culture. Just Black folks, period. I ain't worried about all of America. Black folks, period. The first thing a Black man hears is go get you some money. Or when it comes to our women, they chose the dope boy that had the most money at the time. And then when he fall off, he catch a bullet in his melon, or he catch 25 to life or whatever, they sit him down. Then they circle back to those same men that are here, air quotes, complaining online about women. But these are the brothers just putting in the work. Like TJ gave you his expertise. Kosher gave you his expertise. I've been in the Army 15 years. I know what it's like to work blue collar. I sat on the back of bank trucks for a couple of years, moving money around. AC don't work. I'm here in Georgia, hot as hell. Then the heat go out in the winter. I'm freezing back there in the back of that truck. So to your point, it's a lot of brothers that are working. The issue that we're speaking about in the manosphere, we are not getting the love and the respect of certain brothers in the community. They're exalted. I'm gonna end my point with this. You got a group of brothers on the front of the house. The house is on fire. The house is going to represent the community. You got a group of brothers, the majority, like you said, are in the front of the house, throwing water on the fire, trying to put the water out. There's a group of brothers on the back side of the house throwing gas on the fire. There's a group of women on the side of the house. They got a view of both men. It's so many of our sisters that are gravitating toward the guys that are throwing gas on the fire. And that's where we had the issue with, because the brothers eventually just throwing the water, they're going to get tired. Then they're going to start trailing off and like, man, this your bucket. Y'all got it. Y'all got it. So now it looks like a lot of us aren't doing anything, but we've already done the work. We rarely take that in consideration. What about the brothers that have already done the work? So when we're talking about the younger generation coming up behind us, I mentored for 6 years. I really worked with kids really since I was a kid. Did it for the YMCA through college, volunteer time at this organization, that organization, raise other people, kids, taught them to read, ride bikes, all that. I'm everybody daddy. I've been a single dad since I was 21. I got one older daughter. I have raised so many girls of my daughter's friends that still call me daddy to this day. But brothers like us typically don't get seen. And when we get tired and we have a certain context and we're looking at the young men coming behind us like, damn, I set the example. I talked to you. I gave you chapter and verse and you still in your mama house. That's a problem. And I know America's America. The economy is the economy. But it goes to the mental piece, the emotional piece that Kosher was speaking to. You got the money, you're doing the work, to what you said, Beans, and you're right. The majority of Black men are doing some type of work So to still be laying up in your mom's house, that's a failure to launch. And that tells me there's still a fear in a lot of black men. And I don't want to skip over what you said, what you're dealing with now that you dealt with at 17 is just now coming to fruition for you. I'm gonna just put this in your ear, having worked with younger men. Go seek the help that you need. Because contrary to popular belief, you may not get it from your mama. You're gonna have to find those outside entities.
Right. Hey, Beans, come see me, man. You know, I'll give you. I got some intel on my YouTube channel that you can look at. If you want to do a consultation, I'll work with you. I won't be your therapist or anything, but I can give you some free game, man. I work with a lot of brothers that's been through what you've been through. And so
I know you want to go to Black America. Hold on 1 second. I know you want to go to Black America.
Yeah, I want to go to Black America. Then I'll circle back to Beans. Black America, you there, sir? Thank you for waiting.
Yes. Good evening, gentlemen. Hello. I hope all is well. I want to say something to Beans. Beans know that he know who I am. No, I don't like you, Beans. I hate everything that Beans says. But Beans came up here and busted y'all asses wide open this evening. You guys, like, I'm 50. I believe you're 52, right, Kosher?
Yes, sir, I am.
Yeah, so us older guys fucked up a lot. We did. We was the gangbangers. We was the drug dealers. We was the prison. We was the I got 3 baby mamas with 16 kids. That was us. These young dudes have dropped their rates of going to prison. Yes, they are not tough. Yes, they are pussies. Yes, they are sensitive. But these niggas are working, doing amazing jobs doing things. They're doing amazing. I hate their music. I hate the way they dress. Everything they do is fucking whack to me. I hate them.
Yeah.
But they are not out here. They are not out here busting people asses like we were when we were young, and they had to make actual laws against us to send us to prison for the rest of our lives when we was doing things, guys. These brothers are out here working, and nobody ever says anything to a Mexican. I'm in Vegas. I'm from LA. Nobody ever says anything to a Mexican who is 30 or 35 and he living in the house with his parents.
At all.
You see what I mean? Nobody ever says, if y'all telling young brothers to get their ass out of their mama house and their daddy house because they making money and doing good, you shouldn't leave. I got a lot of kids, okay? I got a whole lot of goddamn kids. And I've been making a whole lot of money for a long time. But bro, anytime one of my kids, I keep a big enough house in different places. Anytime one of my kids need to come back home, bro, if it's one of the boys, they know they got about 45 days. The girls got about 60 days. Because sometimes things happen. But we telling young men to go out here and get it. We telling young women to go out there and do it. Man, we fucked up.
Hey,
Kofa, go ahead.
No, Black America. No, I'm not sitting there disagreeing with your assessment at all. But the Hispanic family culture is very, very different. In the fact of the matter is, they believe in multi-generational homing inside the home. So it's very well that 35-year-old will actually have his wife in there with them too. That's not what we do. We do something very differently. And the fact of the matter is, most of their homes, it's always husband, wife's children. Even the
TJ, what part of the country did you grow up in?
I grew up in the Midwest. So husband, wife, children. I mean, I grew up across the street with a Hispanic family that lived directly across the street from me, and there were 3 generations of full families in that home. Now with us, and here's the thing: the way that they socialize their male children are very differently than how we socialize our male children. I have no problem with multi-generational levels of blacks living in the same house. My family has a family home. for the very purpose if something goes wrong, somebody can come back for even, let's just say my dad is in his 60s, but let's just use his old butt for a reason. Let's just say something goes catastrophically wrong. He can move his wife into the family house until he's able to reset or restart or whatever the case may be. But the problem with a lot of our younger men, and this is just indicative of the fact that they're like a lot of us are coming out of just one parent households. They never take the step out. No one says that you can't go out, fuck up, and not come back home to reset. I think that's going to happen by and large with a lot of us across cultures. You see it in white culture, see it in Hispanic culture. The kids go out, I mean, they leave from high school, they go to college, they start, something horrific happens, or loss of job, loss of income, or if they get married, it dissolves and they got to come home temporarily. The thing is, they actually take a time out of the house. Our kids are not leaving the house and not leaving the house until much, much later to even start the process of learning and failing. You have to fail in order to get better. They're not even getting to that point yet, a lot of them. Now, to Beans' point, do I think it's like, the majority of our young men? No, I don't think it's that. But it's enough. It's enough.
And so I'm going to disagree with you there. And I watch you a lot. I watch all you guys. You know what I mean? I even watch Beans' ass. I be crying when I watch him because the nigga is sensitive. But my thing is, TJ, that's a lot. Nobody ever calls that Mexican family that you was living across the street from. Nobody ever calls them boys soft. They don't call them broke. They don't call them slow. All of us know that Roberto Duran was one of the baddest boxers. Ray Macho Camacho nobody ever downgrades what the Mexicans do. So what it is it's us pushing ours out faster than what is actually needed. So they're not getting everything that they need. And then when the Mexicans jump out, when they jump off the porch, they jump out into a house with a truck sitting on 35-inch tires and all of that stuff, brother. I'm just saying, me included, we might have to start looking at things differently. We're older and stuck in. I know I'm not living to 100, so my life is more than halfway over. If you 40, you may live to 80, but most of us ain't living to 100. So what I'm saying is, we need to get out of the way. If you're 40, you still have a voice. If you 50, I mean, it's only our life experience that I could give to Kofa. Kofa 42, I can give my life experience to Kofa, and he can say, bet, I'll pass it on to the younger guys. But us older guys, we got to stop fucking talking to these young dudes because they hate us. They don't respect us. And it's only going to get worse. It's old lions, right? It's old lions trying to fight young lions. I'm telling you, we are fighting a losing battle against ourselves, and we blaming it all on these hoes. I feel bad for us as a collective because we don't have a collective. We are all individuals, bro.
Well, let me say this real quick, TJ.
Hold on, Beans, I'm gonna give you the final thought because I do got to get up out of here. But go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I don't want for anybody to think that I was trying to suggest that the conclave was a money grab. I was saying that when I looked at the website, that's what came to my mind. And that's based on my assessment of the space itself. You understand what I'm saying? So, and then as far as the other thing too, Coach, like I've been dealing with this for a long time, but that's what I'm saying. You look at how this brother, he keeps saying, I know him. I don't know who this guy is, right? But I'm saying like, this is what the space really is. For every kosher clinician there is, even though that take he just gave, I agree with it 100%. But I'm saying the way that he was just attacking me, what I'm saying is that's the space, but it's like way worse than that, right? There is no real healthy communication. But as soon as somebody disagrees with you, as soon as you outwit somebody, you know what I'm saying? Then here comes the personal attacks and all this other stuff. That's really the space. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, but we want to invite people out and say, come spend your money and all of that. But we need to be trying to make sure that men are healthy. If we know that these people exist, right, then what are we doing to make sure that we getting people on that level? And to that, I'll say shout out to Kofa, because he gave me a response, not that you didn't, Kosha, but he gave me a response that I was actually looking for, right? When he's saying, this is what I did when I went to the conclave last year, and this is what we was able to do, and this is how we was able to help brothers. That's what we need to hear. Right. That's what we need to hear more of. This is what's going on. This is like, you know what I hate, TJ?
What's up?
I could be sitting on a panel with somebody, and let's just say it's coaching. Not that you would coach, but let's just say it's coaching. And coach like, yeah, man, I know exactly how to get this done, and you know what I'm saying, get that done. And man, I'm just telling you, I know what to do. And then as soon as you contact them, yeah, man, what was that sea moss you said you was getting? Oh man, I can't even remember what brand it was. Where did you get it from? Man, I don't even remember where I got it from. My lady here grabbed it. You see what I'm saying? That's what really be going on. Niggas pretend like they got the answers, but then when you reach out to them, they don't actually have them, or they trying to charge you for them. You understand what I'm saying?
What you do with those guys means
you got to do better than that is all I'm saying.
You shake the dust.
Can I say a couple things real quick?
Hold on. You shake the dust from your feet and you curb them. I mean, I've experienced that. You know what I mean? Look, I had people, because they knew Obsidian was coming up here. I had people, you know, because I wanted to do the Relentless series every month. I've had several guys tell me because I made Obsidian first, that they would never work with me again. First of all, they said again like they've ever worked with me to begin with. And so it's a bunch of crazy. But I think when you're trying to build, rescue, and reshape something, there's a lot of clownery in a lot of our there's just a lot of clownery around, and it is taxing trying to weed through the muck, especially when some of them got large platforms, because we think that means something.
Yep.
We think that means something. V-Ben, I'm sorry. I do gotta go. Look, I want to thank you guys for coming up, having a conversation. I think this was a nice cap to, Obsidian's Relentless story. I really appreciate Obsidian coming up with my inexperience interviewing ass. I'm going to try to put him in contact with Hemp, because I think Hemp will do a better job. Now, see, that ain't no ego. That's just the truth. A lot of motherfuckers can't even do that. I mean, they just get all, I don't know. Guys, you guys want to hang back for a second in the back? That's cool. Let me get my outro out the way, and then we can chop it up in back. Beans, I got an idea I want to talk to you about, so hold on a second.